It is an important part of our government's efforts to improve the lives and livelihoods.
Police Special Protection Units get special attention in Rivers State.
Mr. President, in the discharge of the constitutional responsibility of granting pardon and clemency to convicts or ex-convicts in deserving cases.
Fate of 320 inmates on the scale awaits presidential decision. Plus, conversion of petrol car to gas possible in Nigeria.
Over 20,000 technicians in the industry. The council has also concluded plans to develop the NOS, the National Occupational Standards, for the conversion of fuel-powered cars from petrol to gas.
Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Ian Ray. John Michael Olaleye joins me from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. The ongoing reforms of the Nigeria Police Force has received a boost with the donation of office complex and barrack to the Police Special Protection Unit by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Inaugurating the project in Port Harcourt, President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, reiterated the commitment of the government to the welfare of police officers in the country. Robinson Deratiede has the details.
The Nigeria Police Special Protection Unit Base 6 Omagwa River State is named after President Muhammadu Buhari. It is a tactical unit of the Nigerian Police Force to provide security for high-risk individuals and political office holders, with the Omagwa base serving as an operational center to other catchment areas in the South-South. The project, which was abandoned since 2012, consists of administrative block, a commander's residence, and 64 flats for senior officers located at Omagwa, few kilometers to the Port Harcourt International Airport. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo maintained that the project will enhance the security footprint of the country and consolidate the economic benefit of the people in the area.
It is an important part of our government's efforts to improve the lives and livelihoods of our police officers and men, and is also another important milestone in my administration's pursuit of the peace, prosperity, and development of the Niger Delta.
Rivers State Governor Yoson Wike and the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, called for synergy between the NDDC and all states to avoid duplication of projects and facilitate early completion of abandoned projects.
I want to commend this interim board for realizing that every administration is a continuum. From not awarding new projects, but to complete the ones you have seen there.
Abandoned projects in the region were about 13,777. You can imagine the number. Now, I don't want to blame anybody because this is the time for action. Of the 13,777 projects, we'll look at the ones that we can complete for the benefit of the people. And I assure you that they will be completed for your benefit.
This intervention, in our estimation, will undoubtedly help in improving the security in River State, especially in the vicinity in this locality that we are.
The project demonstrates the commitment of the leadership of Niger Delta Development Commission to supporting the Nigeria Police Force and the federal government in enhancing the capacity of the Nigeria Police Force to achieve its internal security operations mandate, particularly in the Niger Delta region.
Police ceremonial parade and cultural dances added color to the event. From Omagwa in River State, Robinson Deratiede, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says social protection schemes can break the cycle of poverty, give real access to jobs, economic opportunities, and improve human capacity. The Vice President, during a United Nations High-Level Forum on Jobs and Social Protection, which he attended virtually, gave instance of Nigeria's response to the fallout of COVID-19, which he said was guided by the conviction that social protection schemes are crucial and can break the cycle cycle of poverty, give real access to jobs and economic opportunities, and improve human capacity and productivity. He added that the economic sustainability plan of the federal government is aimed at restoring growth by mitigating the macroeconomic shocks, tackling the health challenge, averting business closures, protecting and creating jobs. The Vice President also restated the call for improved access to vaccines and sustained funding of gas projects, stating that Nigeria believes that also the already challenging global environment is now being further complicated by lack of access to vaccines. Heading to the National Assembly now, Senate has urged the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to, as a matter of urgency, expedite works on the repairs of damaged portions of roads across the country. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo brings us details.
64 first reading taken.
Legislative interventions on road infrastructure across the country led proceedings at Senate plenary. The Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Sabi Abdullahi, drew the attention of the legislators to what he described as a terrible state of roads in Niger State, as he canvassed for the declaration of state of emergency on the roads and for the federal government to provide 300 billion naira emergency special intervention fund for the repair of bad roads in Niger State. In his own motion, Senator Mustapha Olalekon urged the federal government to embark on repairs of bad roads nationwide.
Intervention fund for the critical roads in Niger State to the tune of 300 billion to concurrently fix the roads as part of the infrastructure rehabilitation efforts of the government.
That this existential threat is posing a danger to human safety and causing significant disruption to both economic and social activities.
Just from Okene to Lokoja, the road is very unmotorable.
Senate passed the Federal Medical Center Owutu Eda Ebonyi State Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Michael Nnachi, while the bill seeking to repeal the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act 2005 and to enact the Electricity Act 2021, sponsored by Senator Gabriel Suswam. The Federal University Guzau Teaching Hospital Establishment Bill by Senator Sahabi Yao and the Federal College of Education Ekiadolo Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Matthew Orogide, passed second reading.
For the industry to provide the ideal legal institutional framework that will guide the post-privatization phase of the industry in Nigeria.
To provide a comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the post-privatization phase of the power sector in Nigeria.
It's long overdue, especially now that the board of the Federal Medical Center Gusau has requested for an upgrade of the center to a university teaching hospital.
Lead to an unbridled quest for vigorous expansion of College of Education in Nigeria.
Senate has urged all multinational oil companies to relocate to their operational bases as it resolved to investigate alleged fake COVID-19 test results used to defraud Nigerians in Ghana for fake vaccination cards. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has approved the federal government's 3-year fiscal projection for 2022 to 2024, otherwise called Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper. The National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on this and other features during Tuesday's plenary.
Towing same line with the Senate, which approved the key parameters last week Wednesday, House members asked the Committee of the Whole endorse the federal government's 3-year fiscal plan as recommended by the House Committee on Finance. The House approved the removal of some agencies of government from national budgets.
Many agencies of the government demonstrate capacity to stand on their own without depending on federal government budget, thereby depleting the optimal usage of national resources. For example, NAFDAC and Nigerian College of Aviation Technology in Zaria.
A lot of these things, shortfall in revenue, MDAs relying on operating capital and all of that by law. I think these things can be cured by legislation.
The House has passed the bill to establish Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund and the bill to establish Nigerian Council for Social Work, while a bill to establish Federal University of Education Katsina Ala, Benue State, sponsored by Richard Bandi, passed second reading.
To provide training and teaching in every aspect of education in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, House members have urged the Federal Ministry of Works to present to the National Assembly an action plan that requires legislative intervention to enable immediate repair of federal roads and bridges damaged by recent rainfall, as moved by Isiakai Ibrahim.
It has caused severe damages to roads and bridges in different parts of the country, leaving behind tales of woes, despondency, social and economic challenges.
Lawmakers passed a resolution sequel to a motion from the minority leader Ndudi Lumelu to investigate alleged insertion into the security tips section of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC handbook, advising co-members to contact their family members when kidnapped for ransom.
Under Section 8E, Section 65E of the NYSC Security Tips pamphlet, advising corps members to tell their families to make ransoms available in case they are kidnapped on the road.
But where an institution has come out publicly, not privately, officially denied something, we must also take cognizance of the fact, which is a problem in this country, about documents, even the Constitution. Unfortunately, you find fake constitutions are being sold on the street, and something needs to be done about that.
Following observations by the House concerning concurrence of House bills at the Senate, the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, directed Clerk of the House to contact his counterparts at the Senate on the issue. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Gender and Equality Opportunities Bill before the National Assembly is not to give women unlimited powers, but a smart investment in women for a prosperous nation. These are voices at a breakfast meeting with media executives to garner support for the bill at its second reading. John Yaku has details.
And for some time now have suffered discrimination, violence and other forms of abuse. In an effort to change the narrative in Nigeria, a bill was initiated at the Senate plenary for legal framework on gender and equality opportunities. The bill, however, suffered a setback due to some grey areas relating to culture and religion. It was reintroduced, and having passed first reading at Senate plenary, getting the necessary support for it at the second reading is the reason for this breakfast meeting with media executives to sensitize and create awareness for its public acceptance.
When the GO bill was on, there were about 3 or 4 issues that were very, very contentious. And I think my sister Amina had mentioned the fact that it was labeled as an abortion bill. And why? Because the bill was talking about the need for family planning.
We did everything in our power to ensure emirs, sheikhs, religious leaders in Christendom, and everyone was taken through the entire process.
I believe a lot of those contentious issues have been addressed and a sort of middle road found to ensure that this bill can indeed be embraced by everyone.
The needed media support for the passage of the Gender and Equality Opportunities Bill is assured because of the benefits derivable from it.
I'm convinced that women are better managers. That's the truth.
The GO bill seeks to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. It also promotes equal opportunities, development and advancement for all Nigerian citizens, regardless of gender.
The bill, if passed, seeks to be tried in a period of 15 years. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
And away from the National Assembly now, INEC has renewed its 2019 Memorandum of Understanding with transport owners to deliver election materials. This was during a meeting in Abuja. Mia Ogidi reports.
It is now my transport owners a copy of this Memorandum of Understanding.
3 years old signatures between INEC and road transporters, signed in 2019 to deliver election materials.
Officials, NYC participants who are engaged were given insurance cover for the period. Unfortunately, our drivers were not given.
These observations notwithstanding, the relationship is renewed. National Union of Road Transport Workers and National Association of Road Transport Owners to still convey election materials in subsequent elections up to 2023 general election. But quick reminder from INEC.
Bottom line is that we must ensure
that we improve the implementation of this MOU. We will be able to open our polling units at 8 o'clock on election day.
Anywhere, we are ready. We have representatives all over Nigeria, so wherever there is election, we can be able to provide the logistics, transportation logistics needed to any election in Nigeria.
The sincerity of this promise will be tested in the elections ahead. Mie Ogide, NTA News.
In other news, the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy has commenced the consideration of 320 applications for pardon and clemency for onward transmission to President Muhammadu Buhari. Minister of Justice, who addressed the reconvened body, called for objectivity and the consideration of the applications. Femi Okewo reports.
The Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy was first inaugurated in 2018. Based on their recommendations, President Muhammadu Buhari in 2020 approved the clemency and pardon of 41 inmates and presidential pardon for 4 ex-convicts. Now before the reconvened body are 320 fresh applications, which the Attorney General of the Federation says must conform with the constitutional conditions for pardon.
The core mandate of the committee is that of assisting Mr. President in the discharge of the constitutional responsibility of granting pardon and clemency to convicts or ex-convicts in deserving cases and reintegrating them back into the society.
The Presidential Advisory Committee is made up of 16 members, which include the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs.
A drastic reduction in the population of inmates measures correctional centers, which has become a stain.
The work of the Presidential Advisory Committee is expected to impact positively on the nation's criminal justice system and correctional centers across the country. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
Time for our first break. Please stay.
Government through NPHCDA commenced Phase 2 vaccination of all persons 18 years and above with safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines approved by WHO and certified by NAFDAC. Special arrangement has been made for staff, their dependents and retirees of ministries, departments and agencies of government, private corporate organizations and non-governmental organizations. To benefit from this special arrangement, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng/corporate vaccination/ to obtain, fill and submit the Google form. NPHCDA will contact you within 48 hours. Protect yourself, your family and your workplace against COVID-19. COVID-19 vaccines are free, safe and effective. For further inquiries, call 0700-220-1122 or send a mail to covid19.vaccination@nphcda.gov.ng. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Hey there! What's on your bucket list? Would you like to travel the world? Live your best life. What if I told you you could blow right this minute and do everything on that list? Airtel is celebrating its anniversary and saying thank you to all loyal customers. You stand a chance to win up to 100 million naira with guaranteed cash tokens in the Airtel Recharge and Blow Anniversary promo. Plus 250 megabytes and 20 SMS free. How awesome is that? All you have to do is recharge to win. For more information, dial *444*4#. Everyone's a winner. So hurry now. The more you recharge, the more you win.
Airtel, the smartphone network. Give your kids winning energy. Milo Active Go. With the goodness of malts, milk, and cocoa, helps them make the most of every day. Milo, the energy to go further.
The CEOs of tomorrow are already on ground. Nigeria's youth are active partners in nation building. Youths must strive to be heard. Youth is the power to make choices. Powerful voices who see the world differently and process it with divergent views. Join us at the National Youth Conference in October 2021. All roads lead to Abuja. 3 whole days at the confirm. Youth delegates from the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT. Having conversations centered on youth inclusiveness, peace, security, governance, and employment. It is time for us to emerge. Let the youth decide. The National Youth Conference is made possible by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and private sector partners.
Welcomes you back to school. Have a session filled with lots of fun and excitement. Stay safe, stay healthy. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
When you wake up in the morning before you start your day, breakfast time is Kellogg's time. For work and for play, for a great start to your day, breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
We always start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals. So in our family, breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
We don't like to eat better, more nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. No cubes, that's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
Not all washing powders are the same. Sunlight adds bursts of freshness to cleaning power to give you Sunlight 2-in-1 for sensational cleaning and freshness that lasts. Sunlight 2-in-1, sensational cleaning with burst after burst of freshness. Introducing Sunlight with luxurious oud fragrance.
Chelsea will look to bounce back from their loss against the defending champions when they take on Southampton at Stamford Bridge. Will they succeed? Find out this Saturday on the Premier League Live. It's Chelsea versus Southampton, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
Thank you for staying. The federal government has commenced the process of repositioning the defense sector by bridging the existing gaps in the structure and operations of the armed forces. The Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, announced this in Abuja while inaugurating an advisory committee for the implementation of the recommendations of the Reform Committee on Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces.
The setting up of the Reform Committee was necessitated by the realization that worrisome gaps exist in the structure and operation of the armed forces, as well as the interface between the Ministry of Defense and the armed forces of Nigeria, which impact negatively on the efficiency of this sensitive institution.
The 24-man committee with members from the Ministry of Defense, Defense Headquarters and the 3 services has a former Chief of Army Staff, Major General Alwali Kaziru, as the chairman. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army has immortalized late Sergeant Folusho Fagbemiro, a female soldier who served with the Nigerian Army War College, Abuja.
We are honoring her for her hard work and dedication to duty. For an edifice to be named after a soldier, that means she must have worked very hard beyond the call of duty.
The college canteen, her last place of duty, was named after her. Late Fagbemiro of the Corps of Supply and Transport died in June 2021. And in Katsina State, the police command has arrested 2 suspected bandit leaders terrorizing Datsima local government area and rescued 7 women, including 3 nursing mothers. Dauda Mohammed reports that also apprehended were a patent medicine vendor who offers medical services to the bandits and an accomplice owner of a provision store.
Victims, 24-year-old nursing mother, while narrating their ordeal,
said they suffered unimaginable horror in the hands of the kidnappers and appealed to the authorities to rescue others still in captivity. The suspected kidnappers arrested include a 30-year-old alleged to be a bandit lieutenant with 10 young men under his command and his 24-year-old accomplice, all of Tashin Mai Alewa in Damusa local government area of Katsina State.
They kidnapped 18 women with 7 babies in that village. And up till now, some of these women are still under captivity. The command is making frantic efforts in conjunction with other security forces with a view to rescuing all the victims alive or hurt.
Also arrested are alleged bandit medical helper, 34-year-old from Tashin Mai Alewa, a community health medicine practitioner, and 45-year-old provision shop owner suspected of providing bandits with consumables. In Katsina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
And from Katsina, we head to Sokoto, where Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has acknowledged the repulsion by the Nigerian army of a recent attack by the Islamic State of West Africa province on some military formations in Sambo-Birini axis of the state. A statement signed by the governor describes the valorous outing by all the security operatives in the general area as an act that reinforces the ceaseless commitment of the state government to the quest for peace and peaceful coexistence. He said it also further strengthens their resolve at ensuring that all the security outfits on the call of duty in Sokoto State continue to work in harmony and have synergy. Governor Tambuwal describes the incursion of ISWAP into the state as a despicable, demonic and destructive act that must not be allowed to stand or pass. He applauded the military for steadfastness and doggedness in trying to halt the menace of insurgency and reiterated their support to the entire security apparatus in the country for their patriotic zeal and consistent efforts to root the perpetrators' acts across the nation. Governor Mai Mala Buni says Yobe State government will continue to collaborate with relevant federal government agencies to consolidate on the gains recorded in insurgency-affected communities by providing them with much-needed infrastructure to ease their practical problems. The governor stated this during a working visit to Galani and Gujba local government areas to rub minds with returnees and take stock of some of their challenges for necessary intervention. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
Residents of Gulani local government area welcoming Governor Mai Mala Buni. Amid this cheering welcome, the crowd, who were mostly youth, displaying placards pleading with the state governor to fast-track the electrification of their area. In a town hall meeting with critical stakeholders in Bara town, Governor Buni expresses delight with the resettlement of people back to their communities in the area after years as internally displaced persons. The governor says the resettlement and economic recovery of the returnee communities was encouraging, pledging to push for the electrification of the council area as requested by the locals who turned out to welcome him, as well as the rehabilitation of failed portions of the road linking Bunigari and Gujuba local government and the agrarian community to stimulate economic activities. At his hometown, Bunigari, Mai Mala Buni inspected the ongoing construction of a modern primary school as part of effort towards strengthening infrastructure and capability of the education sector within the returnee communities.
Bunigari is one of the, used to be headquarters of Boko Haram. They used to have Amir here, and today you can see peace has returned and people are living their normal life.
Also inspected was a gully erosion site at Buniadi, threatening public and private structures, with the governor pledging to arrest the menace. In the Matru, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Turkish government is to collaborate with Nigeria to achieve more in the areas of humanitarian crisis mitigation and response. The ambassador of Turkey to Nigeria, Hadiyet Birakta, made this known when he visited the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, in Abuja. Ambassador Birakta says Turkey has many programs to assist victims of humanitarian crisis around the world and hopes to find a way to render such in Nigeria.
If we can find a way to cooperate or to achieve any other things that we can do, because there are, Turkish, we don't have the ministry, but we have institutions like AFAD for, relief, how would you say, disaster.
Responding, the Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, appreciated the Turkish government for indicating interest in Nigeria, adding that the ministry will collaborate with Turkey in the areas of coordination, mitigation and response to disaster-prone areas in the country.
The ministry also links humanitarian and sustainable development solutions, which provides inclusivity to the traditionally excluded and marginalized, poor and vulnerable people in this country. That is the social development aspect. We hope to work together,
of course, true,
to see how we can learn from your own experiences.
According to Global Humanitarian Assistance Report, Turkey has continued to be the biggest donor country of the world. Elsewhere, with sustained bumper harvest and favorable weather, more than 100,000 jobs are expected to be created annually through sesame cultivation in Sokoto State. This came to fore when Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal paid an inspection visit to the produce cleaning and sanitization of 30,000 bags of sesame being cultivated in Sokoto State. Dalhatu Abdullahi has the report.
This success is the outcome of the Sokoto State government's multi-million naira intervention toward enhancing sesame cultivation in the state. In addition to its partnership with the Turkish firm in sesame cultivation, last year, Sokoto State government had provided 350,000 kilograms of sesame seeds and other inputs to farmers to enable them key into its cultivation. The outcome of the previous year's farming season indicates that sesame can grow in Sokoto State. Before the government intervention, less than 10,000 hectares of sesame was cultivated annually in the state, but increased to 34,000 hectares in 2020 with government's commitment. The cultivation of sesame in Sokoto State is expected to shoot up to 91,000 hectares of land in subsequent years due to high demand of the produce globally. The global market size of sesame, which shrunk between 2017 to 2020, is currently fetching $1,075 per metric ton.
Sesame is in demand globally, and if you can produce even millions of tons of it, the market is there.
Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal used the event to caution farmers against taking illicit drugs as exchange for farm produce.
Anybody that is caught doing that in Sokoto will prosecute him. Both the people that are coming here with drugs to give to our farmers, illicit drugs.
Governor Tambuwal was received at the inspection of the sesame processing facility and briefed by the overseer of the State Ministry for Agriculture, Professor Abdul Qadir Usman Junaid. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
In other news, a coalition of civil society organizations has advocated adequate funding and prioritization of family planning in Nigeria. This was at the inaugural meeting of champions in the promotion of family planning in Nigeria. Basi Ita Ekbang reports.
Sitting in this hall are people of like minds, joining their voices in asking governments at the national and subnational levels to begin to invest in family planning in Nigeria.
With one voice that government should adequately fund family planning, and not just fund in terms of allocations, but release funding for family planning for Nigeria, because family planning is key to the development of Nigeria.
The stakeholders noted it's one way to tackle the challenges of population growth, economic deprivation, and insecurity.
But this is not only government or CSO. Every individual in Nigeria is concerned about maternal deaths in the country.
We believe that access to modern methods of family planning gives families a chance to practice healthy timing between births. Child spacing will increase economic participation of women. Mother leaves, child survives.
So Farm One, as a women organization, also have passion on the well-being and the welfare of women and children, is in total support of this program.
The meeting was organized by the Development Research and Project Center under the partnership of Advocates in Child and Family Health, ASCEL, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as part of 2021 World Contraception Day.
So we must begin to take deliberate steps to manage our population so that we can begin to reap the benefits of demography, like improving our human capital development and all of that.
The event also featured the launch of the Voices of Family Planning Financing Facebook platform as a collective voice for advocates to promote family planning in Nigeria. Back to Taipan, NTA News.
The usage of relevant elements to make stories conversational in news and programming are like a magnetic force that glues viewers to their TV sets, and it is the dimension broadcasting is heading. This is the focus at the ongoing 3-day workshop organized for some staff of the Nigerian Television Authority. Adebola Brookslyn Sander reports that the training is in partnership with the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board.
Kuka Ona, a reporter and an on-air personality, is one of the 60 journalists drawn from all NTA stations nationwide who converged on Abuja for the 3-day training aimed at bringing out the best in them.
Session where we can exchange ideas.
With maximum concentration, they listen to learn more from experienced broadcasters with track records.
We must blaze the trail and lead by example. Everyone in this room has the capacity to do that. We just need to rework our mindset and understand gone are the days when we were a monopoly. Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, and Simbi Wabote, the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, were on ground to give support to the trainees.
Bearing in mind the ever-changing space in which we operate, and the democratization of the industry, and the advent of social media, as well as citizen journalists, assessing current practices and expectations of practitioners is paramount.
Trainings like this will position NTA to be the TV station of choice.
Executive Director News Mohammed Labo, who was represented by the Acting Director News Alima Musa, emphasized on sustaining the mandate of the NTA of ensuring national interests.
The theme, which is bringing out the best in me, is not only apt, but chosen to trigger the desired responses and preparedness in the participants towards ensuring the attainment of the intended outcome.
After the day's technical session, Ogochukwu Ona told me that she is going back a better journalist.
More confident, telling the story the way it should be.
Involvement of new media and the issue of how to get rid of fake news.
I should be able to relay what we have been able to do here so as to make the station better.
The participants were encouraged to use all available resources at their disposal to objectively tell their stories in true perspective. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
The World Bank has declared the Nigeria COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus Program effective. This is contained in a letter of the country director of World Bank Office in Nigeria, Mr. Shabhom Chowdhury, addressed to the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mr. Zainab Ahmed. The letter noted that the federal government has met all the conditions of eligibility of the credits following request for assistance in funding people-centered post-COVID-19 economic sustainability plan. Each of the 36 states of the Federation will get a nominal allocation of $20 million and the FCT $15 million from the $750 million program, which is one of the strategic actions being taken to achieve the plan to lift 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Mrs. Shade Thomas Pham, the matriarch of Nigeria's fashion industry, on her 88th birthday. The president, in a statement, thanks Mrs. Thomas Pham for pioneering the use of locally woven and dyed textiles in the early 1960s, which gave the world the first image of the Nigerian look and fostered a feeling of cultural independence for Nigerians. The president also commends Mrs. Thomas Pham for giving the best of her life in service of her community and the nation, and acknowledges her keen interest in developing future generations of fashion designers. President Buhari prays for Mrs. Thomas Pham's good health, the grace of God, and more years of service to Nigeria and humanity. Time to take a breather here in Abuja and let Michael feed us with more stories from the Center of Excellence. Michael, it's over to you.
Thank you, Yeri. Arrangements are being finalized to deploy engineering students in tertiary institutions to the ongoing rail construction sites to enable them acquire knowledge on rudiments of rail line construction and infrastructural development in the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu disclosed this after inspecting the rail line project site to ascertain pace of work done in several parts of Lagos. Musa Toliat reports.
First quarter of 2023 deadline set for the completion of the Lagos Red and Blue Line Rail projects. Inspecting the progress of work done at the construction site is expedient for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu 5 months after he performed the groundbreaking event to flag off the Red Line Rail projects. The inspection team, led by the governor, went round the construction sites at Ikeja, Yaba, and Ibutemeta Red Line Rail links, where work is ongoing on overpass to decongest traffic gridlock and enhance intermodal transportation system in several parts of Lagos. Having rounded off inspection at the Marina Blue Line Rail project, where construction work is at advanced stage to deliver the largest train station in the state, Governor Sanwo-Olu hinted that engineering students in the state will soon be allowed to visit construction sites and acquire viable knowledge to bridge skills gap in rail line construction.
Our contractors are working on schedule. There are a few hiccups here, but we believe that we'll surmount them, and we'll ensure that on a quarterly basis we'll come out like this to monitor what is going on. But part of the things that we've said to all of our contractors in places we've been to is that we need to have what we call proper skills transfer, local knowledge transfer. So we'll be working with Lagos State University, LASU, we'll be working with University of Lagos and also Yabatech, where you see students of engineering coming to see, they have a feel of what the real construction is all about.
The Red Rail Line project is a dedicated route from Marina to Agbado, while the Blue Rail Line project is dedicated to routes from Marina to Okokomaiko. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
The Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, is substituting its absence at the seaports with intense campaigns to warn traders of the dangers surrounding fake and substandard products. At one of its interactive sessions, the agency did not just highlight standard specifications, but insists that the country stands a better chance of dominating the African continental free trade area if standards become a watchword. The African Continental Free Trade Area is underway, but the major worry among key players is how to freeze out fake and substandard products for the benefit of genuine manufacturers. This is the popular Alaba International Market, a convergence point for dealers in electronics, but equally notorious for aiding the manufacturing, importation, and exportation of substandard goods. The discussion at this interactive session is to remind traders that as custodians of one of the largest specialized markets in West Africa, AFCFTA has huge opportunities to transform their businesses if standard is treated sacred.
It's very important for them to make sure they police themselves to find out people who have bad quality products and report them to us. We test the products, and if the products are substandard, we make sure that their products are off the market, and if we have to prosecute, we'll prosecute.
Determined to change the negative perception about the market, individuals and groups vowed to subscribe to an internal mechanism that strongly frowns at aiding and abetting manufacturing or importation of fake products.
We have the SON committee here, we have buyers beware here, and as a matter of fact, we have made it mandatory for every goods coming to this market that must, first of all, it must be registered. So if there is any problem from any quarter, it can easily traced out.
While the debate on the return of the Standards Organization of Nigeria to the seaports continues, key players say enlightenment of this nature will further give a push to the mandate of eradicating fake and substandard products. This is NTA Network News. More reports with Inyere shortly after this break. Please stay.
Will this penalty be the decider? It's going through the player's mind here. You could cut the tension with a knife. Is there one more twist in this long, rocky road to the final? And here's the kick, and he scores! They've taken the win, they're through.
Don't worry, my boy. There's always the next time. Yes.
It's into Igalo from the wing.
Join the winning team and stream every match with Glow special data plans. For everything Glow, dial *777#. Great supporters of football. Glow.
The CEOs of tomorrow are already on ground. Nigeria's youth are active partners in nation building. Youths must strive to be heard. Youth is the power to make choices. Powerful voices who see the world differently and process it with divergent views. Join us at the National Youth Conference in October 2021. All roads lead to Abuja. 3 whole days at the conference. Youth delegates from the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT, having conversations centered on youth inclusiveness, peace, security, governance, and employment. It is time for us to emerge. Let the youth decide. The National Youth Conference is made possible by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and private sector partners.
Give your kids winning energy. Milo Active Go. With the goodness of malts, milk, and cocoa, helps them make the most of every day. Milo, the energy to go further.
Chelsea will look to bounce back from their loss against the defending champions when they take on Southampton at Stamford Bridge. Will they succeed? Find out this Saturday on the Premier League Live. It's Chelsea versus Southampton, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
Glad to have you back. Now a bit of business. The Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NTA, has announced that as of December 2019, 77 oil and gas companies in Nigeria are indebted to the Federation to the tune of 2.659 trillion naira. The agency, at a media briefing in Abuja, said the debt arose from failure to remit petroleum profit tax company income tax, education tax, value-added tax, withholding tax, royalty and concession on rentals. This was announced today in Abuja. Executive Secretary of NTA, Dr. Ojo Bunaya Oji, explained that the total liabilities of the 77 companies covered by the NTA process is contained in the agency's 2019 Independent Audit Report of the oil and gas sector.
We have tabled this before the public to look in that direction. The government should look in that direction. Let's work together to recover that money. And then we know how else we have. Once we have a system that makes it impossible for those kind of money to lie fallow, and then nobody talks about it, and then government is looking for money, and then we also say, oh, government is not doing enough. Money is important in governance.
Emphasis will be placed on the significance of utilizing effectively the reliable information and data already generated by NTA for national planning, reforms, and for supporting revenue growth from the sector.
In other news, vehicle owners willing to convert from petrol to gas can now do so through an Auto Gas app launched by the National Automotive Design and Development Council. The app is to provide information on certified conversion centers, vendors or technicians. Comfort Amudu reports.
These vehicles are manufactured and assembled in Nigeria, powered by Autogas, with these Nigerians joining the League of Nations that make use of Autogas-powered vehicles to add value in the domestic gas market while promoting direct investment in the manufacture of gas-powered vehicles. The unveiling of this Autogas app to share information on certified conversion centers by the National Automotive Design and Development Council.
The Council has trained so far over 20,000 technicians in the industry. The Council has also concluded plans to develop the NOS, the National Occupational Standards, for the conversion of fuel-powered cars from petrol to gas.
The use of autogas is one of the sure ways of reducing the emission from petrol to diesel.
Also taking the necessary steps to ensure the use of liquefied gas to change the narrative, the NEDDC, in collaboration with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, is leading an awareness campaign on the economic and environmental benefits of converting fleets to autogas.
A combination of rebates and incentives shall be adopted to encourage the use of autogas among commercial vehicles and private vehicle owners.
For the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Nigeria is on its way to transiting the use of petrol and diesel to the use of natural gas to power its vehicles, as well as the development of more Nigerian manufactured vehicles, with the significant progress made in the country's automotive industry. In Abuja, Comfort Amudu, NTA News.
Time for another quick break. Please stay.
Public policy issues on 5G network is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Leadership and experts on hand to enlighten Nigerians. Tuesday Live, every week on Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m. Incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. See, finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until one day, James discovered something big. He can finally say, our home, our football.
Get GoTV plus 1 month max subscription for only 6,900 naira. You fit enjoy the Abuja football leagues where day, plus better cup competitions this football season. GoTV, love it.
Chelsea will look to bounce back from their loss against the defending champions when they take on Southampton at Stamford Bridge. Will they succeed? Find out this Saturday on the Premier League Live. It's Chelsea versus Southampton, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
I enjoy Nollywood film, Orisun, PBO, AMC, be my best channel. But ST Nollywood Plus, they show the latest Nollywood blockbuster on top classic bouquet. How I want to take watch them?
My pikin they enjoy 5 children's channels, but one called our DreamWorks on top of.
I be telenovela lover, and I like ST Novella E and Starlight. But I hear say this series on ST Novella E Plus on top classic bouquet, they totori person pass waiting I dey see now, and I won't watch them. Shall I go need pay 800 naira extra?
From September 1, Star Times, they summer you better package. But no fear, we no increase price. Join this offer. Make basic bouquet subscribers just pay for 1 month and then go fit to watch 3 Ogbonge extra channels from Classic Bouquet. This awoof never finish. Recharge Classic or Super Bouquet for 1 month and you fit be one of the 400 lucky people them. We go win smartphone. Terms and conditions, they shall. More value, same price. Star Times, enjoy digital life.
Now time for sports news with Badi Adeleye.
Many thanks, Nyere. Nigeria, Algeria, and Egypt are stepping up collaboration efforts in the area of sports and youth development, which will benefit all countries involved. The youth and sports ministers of the 3 nations met in Abuja for a tripartite meeting on Tuesday and were unanimous in their drive for policies that will better suit the youth to thrive in their various endeavors.
We have a lot of thinking and we have a lot of stuff in our exchanging the thinking for the youth as well for the sports.
This possibility that we have to develop our activity, to exchange our good practice about sports and about youth.
The youth of Africa have similar desires. We have seen the need to have these 3 countries work together on how to improve the lot of our youth.
To football now, Sebastian Ola became the first player to score 5 goals in his first 2 UEFA Champions League appearances after he netted a goal as Ajax beat Besiktas 2-0 earlier in one of this evening's early kickoff games, with Serie A champions Inter Milan playing a goalless draw at Shakhtar Donetsk. In results of matches just ending now, Real Madrid suffered a 1-2 home loss to Sheriff. AC Milan and Atletico Madrid are playing 1-2 with Madrid leading at the moment. Borussia Dortmund beat Sporting 1-0. PSG beat Manchester City 2-0, with Porto being hit for 5 by Liverpool. RB Leipzig lost at home to Club Brugge 2-1. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Nigeria's senior women's basketball team, the Tigress, on their victory at the 2021 FIBA Women's AfroBasket Championship in Cameroon. The president is delighted to see the team excel over and over again on the regional and world stages, demonstrating that hard work, resilience, and dedication, victory is sure. President Buhari joins Nigerians in celebrating the unique achievements of the winning team, praying that the discipline and talent which made them 3-time African champions in a row will inspire more. And that does it on Sports Update. He's back to you.
Many thanks, Buddy. And that's the news tonight. Many thanks for watching. Please remember to do the needful because rape is a crime. I'm Ian Ray John. Good night.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The Ministry of Works and Housing has the responsibility to help improve the quality and the quantity of the road infrastructure assets, which are the roads and the bridges and the highways. At the moment, we have over 13,000 kilometers of road network under repair, reconstruction or rehabilitation out of the existing 35,000 kilometers of federal road network. These 13,000 kilometers are comprising about 850 different contracts which the ministry superintends across Nigeria. We are fulfilling the mandate of our ministry to expand the connectivity of Nigeria's states and by extension the towns and villages through road transport.
The League of Women Voters of Nigeria, NILOV, is an all-female NGO of women uplifting other women. NILOV, founded by Dr. Dame Esther Adwehi, is a non-political and non-partisan organization whose aim is to empower women economically and politically for a more perfect democracy. Some of our dedicated members passionate about the education of the girl child and empowerment of women include former Minister of Industries, Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde, first female MD, Bank of Industry, Ms. Evelyn Oputu, former two-time Minister and Ambassador Dr. Kema Chikwe, Hajia Ina Chiroma, former Ministers of Women's Affairs, Senator Stella Omu and Iyom Joseph Aneni, Senator Daisy Danjuma, former Permanent Secretary and Head of the Service, Ms. Ama Pepple. Let's join these distinguished women and others like Senator Biodun Olujimi, Senator Uche Ekonife, Right Honorable Felicia Bassi, Honorable Chinwe Mornu, Dr. Rosalind Okosu, Dr. Regina Omog Agege, and others. NILOV, women lifting other women. NILOV, together we can.
Chelsea will look to bounce back from their loss against the defending champions when they take on Southampton at Stamford Bridge. Will they succeed? Find out this Saturday on the Premier League Live. It's Chelsea versus Southampton, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
It is always a pleasure to have you join us on Dateline 360. I am Omotola Omojola. Basic to human survival is food, clothing and shelter. A human right, shelter among the three provides security that is both physical and psychological. Understanding this human necessity and its importance for poverty reduction and the creation of social security, the federal government of Nigeria has over the years taken different steps to ensure affordable housing for citizens. With a fast-growing population, however, the demand evidently is more than the supply, creating a deficit in the housing sector. What more leverage is the federal government pulling to close the gaps? Abdullahi Mohammed, in our first package, examines some recent efforts to provide affordable housing for citizens through partnership with the private sector. And he asserts that the results have been pouring in.
Building a sustainable bridge between the growing demand for housing and supply. The federal government, under the watch of the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, unlocked multiple sources of funding to the two ends.
Our fiscal policy and monetary policy levers can help the housing sector. You've heard government talking about an infrastructure fund. So I'm talking to him and we will be developing some things off this thing, going back to do the backroom work about possibly how to create a national housing bond. The housing developers can access at very reasonable rates. But that's something I'll be engaging my colleague, the Minister of Finance.
Follow-up to these are a series of public-private partnerships as well as direct interventions.
Shelter Africa is a Pan-African bank, which Nigeria is a member among the 44 member countries. And Nigeria happens to be second or the highest investor in this bank. Their presence is not being felt here in Nigeria. And I was able to, without my attendance, I was able to drive these people to Nigeria. And presently, as I'm talking to you, they opened a bond of about $500 million, which is equivalent to 250 billion naira. And for the aspect of housing provision to Nigerians. They have promised to provide at least for the first quarter, last quarter of this year, they are going to finance at least 6,000 housing units, 1,000 in each geopolitical zone of this country.
This is to give millions of Nigerians a home over their heads.
This is government directly now through the Federal Housing Authority, providing everything from end to end. So this is essentially public revenue deployed to providing public housing. So, and you will see that unlike the first estate, our costs are different here. The kind of housing we provide for here is 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. In the first estate that we went to, which was wholly middle to upper class, the smallest units there were 3 bedrooms, then went to 4 and 5. So that's why I said to you earlier on that we are, with the private sector, we're addressing different levels of interest and demand and need.
And now it's harvest time, with many already taking over their flats in many of the housing projects. The federal government housing policy has continued to deliver homes and more homes across the country. This is in addition to the environment created for the private sector to also deliver its own quota. Hopefully, the deficit might be reduced to the barest minimum in the near future. For Deadline 360, Abdullah Mohammed.
It is an open secret that the cost of housing in sub-Saharan Africa is relatively high. Hence, home ownership is often seen as a luxury, despite the basic nature of shelter as a need. For low-income earners who have competing essentials such as food and clothing, consideration for house ownership is at the far end of priority. Habiba Oladipo in this next report examines the pros and cons of housing financing.
Government's recent direct intervention through the provision of a mass housing program of 300,000 homes across Nigeria for low-income earners is not the only measure aimed at providing affordable homes for its citizenry. Investigations reveal that before now, various efforts went into trying to piece the jigsaw together towards solving the housing deficit problem, with a lot left undone. The social housing program is expected to play a huge role in reducing the socio-economic challenges that emerge from the development of slum settlements. These take a vital step towards making the Sustainable Development Goal 11 a reality. But as laudable as this may seem, the journey has not been smooth, as impediments like access to loans has formed a major stumbling block.
The cost of buying land in the city center is so exorbitant that no one can think of using such land to build affordable housing. You can't recoup your investment. 3, access to finance. Finance is a big challenge. The cost of finance, even when you assess it, when you get it, the cost at which you get finance is so exorbitant. We are looking at 2-digit, 24%, 25%. When you interest rate, when you use that kind of, when you borrow money to build houses, how much are you going to sell? 4, there is also over-dependence on imported materials, building materials, which again increases the cost of producing the houses. There is also overemphasis on importing even skill. There are basic skills that we could use in our industry to make housing cheaper.
Now the Federal Mortgage Bank is saddled with the responsibility of financing houses and providing mortgage. The delays are being caused by a lot of factors. For instance, if you are developing a project and you have a PMI, Primary Mortgage Bank, there are impediments. When I mean impediments, the criteria to achieve these loans are quite huge. The terms and conditions. And for an individual to meet up takes a lot of due diligence. That is not even enough. Equity financing. Most of these off-takers are having shortfall of the equity to pay for these projects. Somebody is going for a house of 10 million and is to pay equity of 1 million. Most of the civil servants cannot afford to cover 1 million.
The Housing Department of the Federal Capital Development Authority was established in 2008 with the aim of coordinating mass housing projects in the territory. Emmanuel Abiodun Oluwadamisi is the director of the Mass Housing Department at the FCDA. He says the administration is working on the presidential directive to build 5,000 mass houses for FCT residents.
Government alone cannot deliver all the houses that are needed in the FCT. So it's based on a public-private partnership, wherein a developer that feels that they have the financial capacity and the technical capacity to produce these houses, they come and partner with the FCT. The FCT administration will give them the allocation, we issue them letter of intent, and then they follow the rules and the guidelines and provide these houses, after which we are going to prepare certificates of occupancies and given to the beneficiaries.
FCT, some time back, there was this accelerated mass housing scheme by the FCT administration under El-Rufai that made lands accessible to developers so that they can now use their funds or access funds and be able to develop. Through that scheme, a lot of housing projects have come into play in the city of Abuja. If you go to Lokogoma, if you go to Gwarimpa, if you go to Lugbe, and all around Abuja, you can see the evidence of private sector initiative in housing development.
Experts believe that some of the challenges facing the real estate sector include high costs of infrastructure, increased rural-urban migration, inadequate financing for low-income housing, amongst other issues. Experts also trace another problem to the Land Use Act as a major constraint facing the sector, saying if not tackled, mass housing program will continue to remain elusive in the country. For Deadline 360, Habiba Oladipo.
Let's now move to the states to better understand the effect of federal government's housing scheme. And we start from Owerri, where recent efforts at ensuring completion of ongoing federal housing schemes across the country has found experts' commendation. Chuma Nwankwere, however, reports that occupants of most of the housing estates in Imo State stress the need to pay attention to maintenance of existing structures.
The history of formal intervention into the housing sector in Nigeria dates back to the colonial era. The ultimate aim of such initiative is to address the housing needs of Nigerians at the national level. From that time till now, the federal government has continued to embark on construction of public houses, as well as formulating policies that will lead to private sector participation and ownership to reduce housing deficit in the country. For the present administration, their commitment in the words of the Minister of Housing, Babatunde Fashola, is to ensure that the federal houses get to those it is meant for through online system, which will be done on first-come, first-served basis. The Controller Federal Minister of Housing, Imo State, Dennis Dania, speaks on the prospects and challenges of the federal government housing scheme in the state.
We would not really have much impediment except because the community where some of these sites are located, there is full compensation for them. So the federal government did that. And so we don't have much impediment as to execution of the projects, except that security challenge, which is general.
A visit to some parts of Imo State, including Ikeduru Federal Low-Cost Housing, Iho, measuring about 16 hectares of land, shows that the federal government housing scheme has been sustained as attested to by these occupants.
Here is federal low-cost housing, junior staff quarters, Iho, Ikeduru. Security is not anything to write home about. This is one of the problems.
Although the existing federal housing estates in Imo State are fully occupied, the issue of maintenance remains a major challenge, largely due to construction deficits. This is the exit gate, as it were, in this federal housing estate in Naze. But as a result of flooding, this gate has been condemned, as one of the occupants told us.
This particular gate you are seeing is condemned. We are left with only one entrance. For security reasons, if there is anything here, we cannot go out. This ditch you are seeing here was built, dug by the developer. Coming to our rescue, instead of doing that, he did this without even controlling the flood.
I really thank the federal government for this housing project. But as per the comfort we expected, that comfort has not been there. Power challenge is the problem we are having.
We appreciate the fact that it's an estate from the federal government, which is a good thing. But we have been facing a lot of challenges in this estate. Our very first problem is that of bad road. You can see, when it's raining, we can't go out. Once you are out of this estate, and it happens that you are being caught by rain out of this road, you don't come in.
At the National Housing Site along Owerri Port Harcourt Road by Avu Junction, work has reached an advanced stage, with the first phase already completed, though yet to be occupied.
Especially the minister, any time from now, to come and flag off the allocation system of the national housing. But I'm sure it's not something that Group Ikubaso.
An Owerri-based housing expert, Raymond Uchoma, while recognizing federal government's effort at providing affordable houses, expresses the view that Nigeria's growing population has placed a huge burden on the efforts of the federal government towards meeting the housing needs of the people.
It's good that the federal government is talking about the process, the intention to accommodate its people by way of housing estates. But we should know it's not going to be easy to provide for everybody at that rate standard housing because of the limitation of funds. And that brings us to the support that is needed by every agency, state governments, local governments, cooperative societies, private estate developers, and even the individuals themselves, so that everybody can work towards standard housing for every Nigerian.
While the Federal Ministry of Housing is already seeking provision of land by the Imo State government for the construction of more federal government estates, it is expected that the challenges of the existing ones will be addressed. Inowore Chuma Wankwere reporting for Dateline 360.
And from Duse in Jigawa State, Ibrahim Belogunda reports that for the first time since the creation of Jigawa State, the state capital is witnessing the development of a federal housing scheme for low-income earners. Let's hear from him.
The dream of every Nigerian is to acquire a decent and affordable home while being able to meet other financial needs of the family. But in most cases, the economic resources required is not within reach. That is why the federal government's National Housing Program was received with greater hope. The state government keyed in by providing the required land for the construction of 8,000 housing units across 5 emirates of the state. For now, Phase 1 and 2 of 76 and 88 housing units in Duse are at more than 90% completion stage. There is, however, no clear position at the state level on the criteria required to own the houses.
We are expecting the third phase. The third phase is coming up, will be at Birnin Kudu, and is commencing any moment from now. When they are all fully completed, we'll now have commissioning, and then directives will come on how guidelines will be put from headquarters on how the allocations will be done.
Any house that is completed and remain unoccupied for a very long period of time, it will start to be losing its quality, because wind may attack the roofing, and termite here in this side we have high level of termite attacking roofings. So termites may easily find their way into the roofing and begin to attack the woods. Before you know it, the quality of the building will start to diminish.
To complement the federal government, housing developers are also collaborating with the State Council of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Federal Mortgage Bank to bridge the housing deficit in the state by providing 100 low-cost housing units for interested civil servants.
100 units of houses are allocated to Jigawa State, and the NLC was consulted. That was after the houses were constructed. Initially, we rejected because we are supposed to be carried along in the design, the bill of quantities, and the nature of the houses. But later, because our members are yearning for accommodation, we accepted, and 54 houses were allocated to the NLC, and we forwarded the names of those 54 interested people to the Federal Mortgage Bank, and the houses were allocated to them. Only criteria is that you are a contributor. If you have an NHF account where you contribute 2.5% of your basic salary monthly to the bank, then you are entitled to get the house.
As the people appreciate effort of government and private investors in the provision of decent accommodation, they, however, stress the need to spread the program and cover other parts of the state. With about 18 to 22 million housing deficit, according to the 2019 Central Bank of Nigeria Financial Review, Nigeria needs to do more in providing affordable housing scheme for low-income earners in all sectors of its economy. From Duse, Ibrahim Belogunda for Deadline 360.
Following the completion of the first phase of the National Housing Estate in Afia Nsit No. 1 in Akwa Ibom State, work is ongoing in the second phase of the estate. Clement Barikwi visited the site and reports that the houses in Phase 1 are yet to be occupied despite completion.
This particular estate came under the 2016 National Housing Program of the federal government, and work on it started in 2017. It has a total of 68 housing units comprising of 3-story condominium with 24 units of 2 and 3 bedrooms and another 28 units of 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms semi-detached bungalows. This is part of federal government's effort to ensure that Nigerians residents in Akwa Ibom State have access to affordable houses.
due to the existence of this project, it has laid off the criminals that were living in these houses.
I like what I'm seeing because this estate and this project has bring a lot of changes to people's lives.
That would make life very, very meaningful for public servants.
It's a laudable one, what federal government is doing.
Many other administrations have been trying to put up this type of program, but they failed. But we are happy that this very administration has succeeded in fulfilling their promise.
The effort of the federal government is highly commendable because there was a time we had a very high housing deficit.
Although the houses are yet to be occupied, major facilities have been put in place, including electrification, water and road network. To maintain standard and avoid vandalism, the supervisory ministry engaged the services of youth of the community, who has promised to keep watch over the facility.
You can see what they put in structure is still remain. There is no thing. That means that nobody touch and nobody destroy anything. We provide credible security.
Because if they destroyed anything, it will be our name. They will spoil our name. So that's why we don't allow the shots to come in. We plead on the government to come to our aid and make sure that they control erosion that is coming to this environment that owns this land.
Phase 2 of the housing estate started in 2020 and work has reached advanced stage. When completed, the second phase will accommodate 3-story condominium, 8 units of 3-bedroom and 4 units of 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalows. The estate is, however, facing a major challenge as there is no perimeter fence in some sections of it to prevent land speculators who have already encroached into greater portion of the land. Phase 1 of the National Housing Scheme here in Afianseta, Akwa Ibom State is almost at 95% completion. What's just remaining now is to add some finishing touches and its formal inauguration before it will be declared open for members of the public. Clement Barquin for Dateline 360.
And that's Dateline 360 for today. Thanks for your company. God bless Nigeria.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
Fellow compatriots, if no single tribe or religion has defeated poverty, then no single tribe or religion can develop Nigeria. The success story of every state and capital is the contribution of every tribe and religion. Our Nigeria no be wazobia, no majorities or minorities. Every tribe and every religion still dey hustle for naira when no get tribe. or religion. So, my country people, let's join this movement that says Naira no get tribe and use the Naira to develop our Naira land. Citizens first. Citizens before state of origin. Citizens before your religion. Citizens before your ethnic belonging. For participation, call 0902 739 5555.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel.
Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stover. The 5G network generated issues of public concern in the communications industry with prolonged debates on its operation and safety in Nigeria's cyberspace, especially with the alleged links with health complications brought about by COVID-19. Experts had argued, however, that forensic examination had proven that the network is safe and will bring about a major revolution in mobile telecommunications, allowing Nigerians to stream in high definition, a major leap in networking protocols. But before understanding exactly what 5G will change in our lives, let's understand what it is. Now, to fully dissect issues surrounding the 5G network, we've put together a team of experts to set some of the records straight. But that will be right after this report by Joseph Johnson.
In Nigeria by January 2022 after getting the nod of the federal government, which some industry players say seemed like the only obstacle against the deployment of the technology in the country. But the approval by the Federal Executive Council has once again brought to the fore the controversies surrounding the good, bad and ugly sides of the 5th generation technology network, an advanced form of 2G, 3G and 4G, which Nigeria currently operates. Some Nigerians who hammered on migration issues usually associated with such introductions sued for seamlessness in the transition.
If 5G is where the world is going, there is nothing stopping Nigeria from keying into that particular system immediately and do what everybody is doing. So I don't have a problem. And people should stop, bringing in religion, bringing in stupidity, bringing in ignorance in something that is already established globally. It does not make sense. Let us forget about all these theories. People are saying it has something to do with the Antichrist, it has something to do with the 666 mark of the beast, and all this. It does not make sense. It does not make sense. Just like when street light, for example, was introduced in London several centuries ago, people said no, they don't understand that darkness is darkness. Once it is night, people should be able to sleep. Why will anybody give light in the night? Eventually, everywhere in the world now we have street light.
With the clue of things I have about the 5G, only God knows how it's going to be functioned.
Brother, those who want to remain where they are before their father was born,
let them remain there. And those who want to move forward, let them move forward.
With many developed nations of the world already far into 5G adoption, ICT experts say Nigeria cannot be left behind, especially as its deployment would speed up the growth of Nigeria's digital economy.
International Telecommunications Union, that is ITU, which is an arm of the United Nations, and also World Health Organization, both of them confirm that there is no any adverse health effect of 5G.
And for most average users, they probably wouldn't notice the difference, unless maybe when they actually take into account that they can actually watch YouTube much faster now. They can actually download a whole movie or entire TV series in the shortest time possible.
While preparations for the deployment come January 2022 are ongoing, issues like getting it right in such a manner that would make the deployment beneficial to the nation and the end users when it fully comes on stream, and sensitization of Nigerians will form the thrust of deliberations by guests on the program Tuesday Live.
All right, Joseph Johnson setting the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's introduce our guests, and we'd like to welcome to this program Honorable Akim Adeni Adeyemi. He's chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Telecommunications. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right, let me also welcome to this program Uche M. Mbanaso, PhD, an associate professor of cybersecurity and executive director, Center for Cyberspace Studies, Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure, and good evening, Nigerians.
Okay. We're also joined tonight by Taiwo Akirili, is Country Rep Policy House International. Thank you for coming on Tuesday Live.
For having me. Thank you.
Let me also introduce Sadiq Nasser. He's an ICT expert. He joins us via Zoom from Eula, Adamawa State. Sadiq, welcome to NTA Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And also with us tonight is Ikechukwu Nnamani. He is President, Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria. He also joins us via Zoom from Lagos. Thanks for being with us tonight. Okay, so hopefully he'll join us. Well, as we always do, we acquaint you with the procedure. This is interactive. At some point in time, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. The phone lines will be on your screens. You can call in with a question or a comment, but we always say this to you. At the appropriate time, you call in and your call is passed to the studio. Do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And if you do get on, we always encourage you to go straight to the point, ask your question or make your comment. Don't waste time on greetings. There isn't time for that. Just go straight to that. So tonight, that's the outlook. It's all about 5G. And yes, it's good that Ikechukwu Nnamani, the president of the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, has joined us via Zoom from Lagos. Good evening, and thanks for being with us on NTA Tuesday Live.
Good evening. Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. So, it's about 5G. So, let's start from the very beginning of this. It's quite obvious that so many people didn't know a thing about 5G until it became well known for a certain reason. And so many people have been asking, what's 5G? How does it differ from 4G? How did you go up to 5G anyway? But so let's go first to one of our guests tonight who should help us break it down so every one of us can understand what 5G is all about and how it's different from what we have going for us. And we turn to Dr. Uche Mbanaso. Explain to us, if you will.
Well, 5G is the 5th generation of mobile wireless network communication, and essentially is advancement of 4G. What actually makes the difference is the frequency. So 5G is much higher frequency with very low wavelength, which means you need a very small, closer base stations to be able to operate 5G. And what that actually translates is the speed at which transmission takes place. And we have heard from every discussions that it will enhance communication, streaming of data, and enabling more devices like home appliances, smart grid, and also the electric cars that are internet enabled. Almost every device today that finds its way on the cyberspace, we benefit from the enormous speed of 5G. And the bandwidth is also very, very high, which means it will accommodate more data. So that's the picture qualities will improve, voice qualities will improve. So it's going to undoubtedly enhance users' experience in the way we communicate, the way we share data, the way we download from YouTube and other social media. So in a nutshell, I think that's all about 5G. It's an enhanced communication system.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mana. So thank you so much for breaking it down for us. And so the very next thing that most people would ask after that would be, are there relevant statutes and laws that will guide the operation of 5G, or, for that matter, guiding the operation of what we had before? And we turn to the lawmaker amongst us here, Honorable Akim Adeni Adeyemi.
Thank you. Yeah, you see, I listened to Doctor, it's a very good explanation. You know, Nigerians, they deserve information. We need to let them know 1G, 2G, 3G before 5G. 1G is analog voice. 2G brought digital voice. 3G brought mobile data. 4G mobile broadband. 5G and the extension of all this, so that you will not know that 5G is one generation, two generation, from analog, the digital voice, mobile data, to mobile broadband, and now to 5G. And as the legislature in Nigeria, we have empowered the Nigeria Communication Commissions to key in to any advancement in technology, in communication technology. Nigeria must not be left behind. They have been empowered legally. And the Nigerian Communication Commission is always in touch with International Telecommunication Union, like the minister said, ITU. And also, as regards the health implication, the World Health Organization, even in America, the Federal Communication Commission equivalent of NCC. So legally, the act passed by the National Assembly established the NCC that is in charge of telecommunication industry, has definitely taken care of any exigencies that might occur. And if we have discovered anything that will affect Nigeria and Nigerians, definitely there will be an amendment to it. As far as we are concerned, this 5G, there's nothing too much to worry about in whatever view.
Okay, so we'll come to more discussions in greater detail as we go ahead. But let's go around the rest of our guests, and let me go over to Taiwo Akirili, who is the country rep of Policy House International, as a policy analyst. And easily some people would say, look, who determines these policies that Nigeria is good to go with 5G? And we've also heard some people say, look, we don't think that we can leapfrog and begin to use high technologies that are available in other parts of the world. But is this the kind of policy that should be for a country like Nigeria?
Cyril Stoba, and once again, thank you for having me. When you talk about digital economy and you talk about regional and global integration, Nigeria cannot isolate itself. So it's very exciting to note that in 2021, Nigeria as a country, as an entity, has decided to, on its own, catch up with what is happening at the global level when it comes to technology and 5G. It's a welcome development, and I'm very excited to note that the Federal Executive Council has taken a very giant step in approving the policy framework around this 5G technology. And as the minister rightly stated in his press release, he was very clear that there's going to be an executive order to back up even the Federal Executive Council resolution. So Nigeria is taking the right step in the right direction, and as clearly stated by the honorable member from the House of Rep, the entire architecture of government is backing this policy to ensure that Nigerians take advantage of what is happening globally. South Korea is already far way ahead, South Africa, Lesotho, and of course, China and America. So Nigeria being the biggest economy in terms of GDP, in terms of population in Africa, we have just taken a giant leap forward towards ensuring that, we are not left behind. And it is very important and critical for our economy that the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is not just looking at getting the Federal Executive Council to approve this, but they're also backing it up with, with an executive order to ensure the legitimacy and to allay the fears of the people. When you have a policy without a policy framework and without the legal framework, it becomes an open-ended, step. But with what the federal government is doing now to back it up with an executive order, with Federal Executive Council backing it up with a resolution, then Nigeria is on the right step and on the right track towards ensuring that we get the benefits of what is available in the 5G network. And you can actually also, discovered that the Ministry of Digital Economy is not just stopping at this, they are also backing it up with a National Center for Artificial Intelligence and, of course, a robotics center, which is very critical in ensuring that the 5G is not just standing alone, but we're also building a critical capacity. We are building the capacity of young people to catch up with what is happening globally with artificial intelligence and robotics, because 5G requires additional impetus, requires additional research and development. You need to invest in 5G, you need to invest in your people, so that at the end of the day, whatever is happening globally, you're also catching up with it and not being left. And policy-wise, this is very important, because whatever we do today is what is going to be transferable to the next generation of young people, to the next government, to the successor government. And this is where the issue of sustainability comes in. Without the enabling environment, without the enabling framework, the next government is going to be at a cul-de-sac on where to continue from. So it's a welcome development, and I'm quite excited as a policy expert that the Nigerian government is backing up this 5G with relevant policy, relevant status, and the National Assembly and all.
Let's come to the ICT expert, Sadiq Nasser, if you can hear me, who's joining us via Zoom from Ula in Adamawa State. Sadiq, let's hear your views on this.
The advent of 5G into the Nigerian economy is actually a welcome development. There's a lot of apprehension by people around the world, not just Nigeria, as to its health effects, health hazard, which is understandable, because for every new technology or every new opportunity, humans are actually wired to be scared about it. But there is nothing to be scared about 5G. It's just an advancement in terms of telecommunication and operations and how we communicate with one another. So, to put it very simply, we are going from walking on foot, which is I would classify as 1G. Then we went to riding bicycles, and then we moved to riding cars, and now we are about to fly. In terms of analogy, that's one of the simplest explanation I could give to every Nigerian, so they have a better understanding. it's not going to harm anyone like people believe, because there was a lot of protests in the UK and a lot of other countries, which is understandable. But of course, in Nigeria, in response to that, the Nigerian government has been able to start this awareness to educate people on the benefits of the 5G, what it is, and they were able to carry out successful tests. And we're actually looking forward to it. And we, from the IT perspective, we're looking at new innovations to come up in the market to enable us build this digital economy that we have been discussing about. And it's important to also note that the federal government actually last year came up with a national digital economic policy and strategy document, which there's a third pillar of that. It's made up of 8 pillars. The third pillar says solid infrastructure, which has been captured by this 4G network. So this 5G network, rather, it's a integral part of building the digital economy. And it's important to also note that a few years ago, the National Bureau of Statistics published the report saying that about 13% of our GDP is propelled by this digital economy. It means that the aspect of the economy that is driven by the technology component. So it's a very, very welcome development. And Nigeria is gradually taking its position in the global space. And by us able to leverage on this new technology, by our startups being able to develop new technologies, we can compete favorably around the world. We're talking about leapfrogging here. We'll be able to build technologies that can be used in other parts of the country. But of course, these things don't happen overnight, but we take baby steps, and we're there. Right now, we've started with the policy regulation, and then by next year, we're looking at the full implementation of it after, of course, the live test, which has happened. So it's actually a welcome development by us, the operators within the technology community.
All right, okay. As he says, we're about flying, but will the benefits fly? And here's the time to bring in the president of the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, Ikechukwu Namani, who joins us from Lagos. Now, give us your impressions from the view of the telecommunication companies, because most people at the start of it said, oh, well, they would support it, wouldn't they? Because it would be to their benefit mostly, but there are other issues.
Absolutely. As has been stated, 5G offers more benefit than any disadvantage it may have, because the interesting part is, while we are trying to get through the regulatory process to get the approval to roll out the service, some other parts of the world have moved on a long time ago. And these countries, there's no single case in any of this country where they've had any negative impact from the implementation of 5G in their telecom network. Instead, it has all been positive. New services has been generated. The existing services has become more efficient once they migrate to the 5G network. The quality of life of the citizens have improved drastically. And most importantly, it has aided economic development of each of these countries. So these are the benefits that Nigeria would see once this is fully implemented. There was a question that was asked, which is, are we leapfrogging? Why are we not moving too fast? The answer is no. If you notice, we leapfrogged from the analog fixed line system to mobile. And the benefit we've seen with the present state of our telecom service is because we did that leapfrogging a long time ago. If we had gone through the traditional process to say, let's build out a full fixed line network like you have in other parts of the world, that it took them, in some cases, over 100 years to move to mobile services, we would not be reaping the benefit we are reaping today in terms of the state of our telecom network and services. So this is a welcome development. It's not something we are jumping. And most importantly, 5G is not going to eliminate the other existing services. 4G services will be there, 3G services will be there, even 2G services will still remain. But the benefit is for those that will be able to access that service from availability standpoint, and also from the standpoint of the need, because the services that 5G will drive, not everybody may need it at the initial stage, but those that will need it will definitely benefit from it.
Let's just expand this a little further. Not everyone would need the 5G. Some would need it. And explain that to so many Nigerians.
Okay, thank you. My grandmother in the village may not have need for 5G services, because what she does today is basically use her phone to receive traditional voice call from us, the grandchildren. Somebody like my grandmother may not see the need for 5G, but people like you and I who live in the urban city, who live our life in the digital age, who do our banking, health, work, every part of our life is based on communication. We will need 5G. That's what I mean by that.
Thanks. One of the very core issues been raised about 5G would of course be the matter of cybersecurity. And again, we turn to Dr. Mbanaso, who is Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies of the Nasarawa State University, KEFI. The question of cybersecurity, many people on edge over that. With 5G, it does seem to many people that we're dealing with high-tech, but so will the criminals be high-tech as well.
Thank you very much. That's a very valid question and also a valid concern. Well, the issue of cybersecurity is not something anybody can wish away. And it's not something anyone can prove at this stage. There's no cybersecurity issues. As technologies advances, so also as the risk advances. And so with 5G, there's a greater cybersecurity issues. And like I've said here last 2 weeks, the rate of cybercrime will definitely increase. And because there are several devices, and some of these several devices will be unprotected. I gave a typical example of a toothbrush that might be connected via 5G, where dentists maybe monitor the health of your teeth. It's prone to a lot of privacy issues. It's also prone to hacking. The Honorable Minister also mentioned here about how 5G can enhance our medical healthcare, in the sense that you can have a doctor performing operations remotely. But how does that happen? It means the doctor will operate a robot remotely to be able to perform operation. And all these are software based. And we know that software has millions of vulnerabilities that can be exploited. And for the fact that this is actually concerns human, have a lot of privacy issues. So what I would suggest at this point is that people begin to differentiate between health issues and security issues and privacy issues. These are the three different things that we need to consider. So in as much as, yes, it has been proven or have been said that 5G does not pose serious health issues, but the security and privacy remains a very huge concern. And so this is where I think the nation should be focusing now, how to be able to mitigate these security and privacy issues. And one more thing that I would like to point out at this point is how much is the local content into the 5G. We started migration from 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. So how much local content do we have in 5G? And how long will we continue to consume most of these technologies? Because when you are talking about the benefits, and almost everything that has to do with 5G has to be imported into this country, is a very huge concern, not only from the economic perspective, but from also security perspective. So the concern of security and the concern of privacy is still very germane in the discussion of 5G. So I think we need to begin to look into it very enormously and begin to do what I may refer as a thorough risk assessment of 5G security and privacy issues. And with that, we can be very good to use 5G in such a way that the benefits will outweigh the security and privacy issues.
Honorable, you heard the man.
Yes,
of course, right now we're grappling with heightened insecurity. Okay. Even now, hacking has been taken to a high level. Yes.
Yes, sure.
And yes,
I think Nigerians deserve to know the benefits of this 5G. Let's start with what is the contribution of the ICT to the Nigerian economy? GDP, 70.92% at the moment. On behalf of Nigerians, and Nigeria in particular, the National Assembly has taken upon himself to ask some basic question. Deployment of this 5G, how does it affect the economy? And we have been able to get the result that, okay, close to nothing less than 25% contribution will be from ICT to the Nigerian economy. That is good. That will bring about employment, both direct and indirect employment to Nigerians, and particularly the youth. And also, if you talk about this 5G will revolutionize, transform our way of life from what the experts have said. How does it revolutionize our life? In education. In education, for example, now, if you deploy 5G now, you can imagine the availability of wireless connectivity that is fast. Our Zoom learning, visual learning, Zoom meeting will be improved. Look at how we can connect with the telecommunications chairman in Lagos now. Sometimes it is hiccup. This will be eradicated. I can see that in Nigeria, receiving lectures, Harvard, anywhere in the world, from here to University of Ibadan, Ife and Co. Education-wise, 5G deployment will enhance education. In terms of health, look at what the doctor said. They can perform operation even without presence, but it's not the 5G. So Nigerians should know the benefit. In terms of even safer transportation, also agriculture. So the benefit of 5G is so much that Nigerians cannot be left behind. And we are talking about security-wise. The reason is this: even if we say for whatever reason or the other, we don't want to deploy 5G, the rest of the world are already migrating to 5G. They can even use this technology to affect your security network. You need to belong there to be part of the deployment so that you can at par with all the developed nations and how to cope the security situation of your country vis-a-vis the developed nation. So we have taken it upon ourselves to ask this question on behalf of Nigerians, give them the legal framework, and see the benefit of 5G. And earth-wise, and also where Nigerians are shouting, maybe, is there any problem? There's this negligence, we call negligence, barest minimum of low latency. That is, there's this 5G deployment, this 5G gadget, it is very low in attracting heat. So definitely there's nothing earth hazard associated with this 5G. Even it has a low latency compared to 4G, 3G, 2G. And what the organization has given us, I was there in Hungary, in International Trade Union and Telecommunication Union in 2019. This question we asked, we get the fact on behalf of Nigerians. I was also in Dubai last year, Telecommunication Union, globally. So we understand and we ask this question. Nigerians have nothing to fear. This 5G is the in thing. We must be connected to the rest of the world.
All right, well, you heard the Associate Professor of Cybersecurity, Dr. Mbana. So he raised concerns and said Nigeria should be looking in those directions. What are your thoughts on that, particularly?
Well, when you look at it from a very critical perspective, you agree with me that The step that the Nigerian government has taken is in critical line with what has become very obvious and imperative as the biggest economy in Africa. I am particular about the biggest economy in Africa because, yes, we might be the biggest economy in Africa, but we are lacking in so many areas, particularly in the area of infrastructure. In the area of technology, we are also behind compared to other countries like Seychelles, like Mauritius, like Rwanda, South Africa, Morocco, and Egypt. When you compare the investment they have made in technology, these 5 countries I've mentioned, when you compare the investment they have made in technology and the digital economy, Nigeria is far behind. And therefore, that is why some of us are quite excited with the way Nigeria is trying to catch up from the sleeping giant toga that we have been regarded in recent times. So, otherwise, in terms of the cybersecurity perspective of it, I think the Nigerian government has to look at that angle very critically, because you might lose sight of the disadvantage of this 5G when you now look at the bigger perspective of the advantages that is associated with its deployment. So there is need for investment on data gathering, data analysis, the pros and cons of this digital technology. How does it take our economy to the next level? How does it grow our economy? Or how much impact does it have on job creation? How much impact does it have on technology penetration? How much does it have on youth employment? How much does it have on diaspora remittance? Are we going to lose the people we are training on artificial intelligence to our neighboring countries? Do we have the capacity to retain them? Do we have the incentive to even retain them in our economy? Because there's something very fantastic about coming up with an artificial intelligence and robotics center, but after investing so much, just the way we are investing in training medical doctors, and we are losing them to other countries who have higher incentives, do we have the capacity to retain the young people we are going to be training on artificial intelligence and robotics? Because it is very good that the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy has that plan, but those incentives has to be put in place so that Nigeria doesn't lose its best brain to capital flight. And that is the area some of us are very worried about. We must look at the next 10 years. Where are we going to be? Are we already thinking of 6G? Are we going to sustain the policy around investment in artificial intelligence? What are the critical success factors associated with deployment? These are the key issues that we are looking at in the area of policy and policy sustainability. It is very critical that the government looks at how sustainable this is. What is our plan for the next 5 years? What is our plan for the next 15 years? Other countries are already investing in 6G that they are going to release in 2029. We are celebrating 5G. Fantastic. Clap, clap. However, we must look forward. We must look beyond where we are right now and see how we can catch up and really be the biggest economy of Africa that we really are. Those are my thoughts.
All right, just before we play the catch-up as you recommended, let's return to 2 key issues and maybe a third now that Taiwo Akerele has just raised. And I'm putting this to Sadiq Nasser in Yola. First, well, yes, the 5G will enhance so many things, including security. But on the same hand, it will also lead to challenges in cybersecurity. So I'd like you to look at that as an ICT expert. Then another key issue which was raised by Dr. Mbanaso had to do with local content.
Okay. The issue of cybersecurity is an international phenomenon. Reason being that there is no one silver bullet. What that means is there is no one thing that when you do it end-to-end, to guarantee you that you have a robust system. So what we do is we need to invest more within that cybersecurity space, especially as it affects 5G. And it's important to note that the 5G network is actually a software-defined network. It means that a lot of routing of packets means a lot of messages that will be routed would be IP-based, would be done by a software. So that creates a lot of opportunities and threats. Opportunities in the sense that us, the experts on ground, or within the cybersecurity space, can actually start studying these threats. How are they likely going to occur? If they occur, what are we going to do? And of course, there's a global knowledge base being developed by several initiatives within this 5G, studying the various security threats that 5G faces. So in Nigeria, if we can key into this, and it's not always dependent on government. The government cannot do it all. It's a multi-stakeholder approach. All our big mobile network operators need to invest more in this cybersecurity space to understand what is this 5G, how does it operate, what are the potential loopholes, and that leads us to the next point, which is local content. Because we need a lot of investment in this space so we can understand it. Because I mean, around the world, 5G is still pretty much new. It hasn't been really understood, and it's important to understand that as much as we have individual hackers that are trying to take advantage of this 5G, we have what we call the state actors. State actors are independent countries that actually invest money in breaking down other countries' network for whatever reasons. Of course, they deny it, but we do know that something around that exists. So we need to put in more effort to understand what is this 5G, how does it work, how can we prevent it from being attacked. But of course, as we grow on, we need to look at local production of some of these equipments. For some of these equipments, rather than bringing them all in one bulk, we can actually look at, okay, which part of the components can we produce locally? Then the Nigerian government, of course, I believe that they're doing that already. They will force these implementers technology to actually get those components locally. So that way we are gradually growing our local economy. Of course, it's not a technology that I would say would have end-to-end solutions. It's not something that we have the requisite knowledge, because even an economy such as America, they're still struggling with this 5G, because there are other actors that have actually preceded them in terms of investment, in terms of doing research to actually come up with a better approach and more efficient way of doing this 5G. So Nigeria should not be left out, and we should not just be a consumer economy. Of course, we should try and find better ways of doing this. And there's so many opportunities around this 5G that it will present in terms of local content. Thank you.
All right. Let's look at another aspect of the 5G. And here I'm looking at the deployment. And let's go over to the president of the Association of Telecommunication Companies of Nigeria, Ikechukwu Namani, in Lagos. True, right now, many Nigerians are not very pleased with the services of telecommunications companies. Now we're going 5G. Is there going to be a difference?
Thanks. We expect that there should be a difference. The unfortunate situation is the reasons why we're having some poor quality of service is not even tied to the network service providers. It's based on external factors that the network service providers cannot directly control. Issues about vandalism of telecom infrastructure leads to poor quality of service. Issues about unavailability of electricity where you need it and at the price point you need it leads to poor quality of service. Challenges with not being able to roll out networks because you've not gotten right of way from the regulatory bodies at the state or local government level, so that your network is congested, not because you don't want to expand it, but because you are not allowed to expand it by factors beyond your immediate control. These are some of the issues that are currently led to the poor quality of service we are facing. Now, with 5G, the good thing is that people would actually notice slightly higher quality of service because the bandwidth that will be available to you will be much higher. So some of the poor quality you are experiencing today, especially with video services or high data capacity services, you will not notice it with 5G because the technology itself would naturally give you a better user experience than what 4G or 3G can do. So from that standpoint, as a user, you would notice better quality of service from a 5G network. But the underlying challenges that service providers are facing today, if it is not addressed, is still going to affect every network, whether 2G, 3G, 4G, or 5G in Nigeria. These are issues that unfortunately today goes beyond the control of the network service provider. But we are working on it. We are working closely with the ministry, with the regulator. As an association, we are interfacing with the various state government agencies to see how we will resolve these issues. And we are making some progress, and hopefully we'll get better quality once some of these underlying issues are addressed.
Yes, just let's go a little bit further here. What's the outlook in terms of cost? Those who tell you, for instance, that data is so expensive now.
That's true. Truth be told, with 5G, you're going to experience two areas of cost variation. One is the devices. The devices are still expensive because they are still new. So until manufacturers of the devices are able to produce at larger scale as 5G become more prevalent, the cost of the devices may not drop initially. So we need to expect that the cost to acquire the 5G devices are going to be slightly higher than your 4G or 3G devices. So that's one aspect. The second aspect of it is not necessarily the cost of the service. It's just that if you have procured a particular capacity of bandwidth from your provider, because the quality is good and the data put is going to be higher, you may notice that your data may run out faster. Today, those people that have access to 4G are noticing that their data runs out faster than those that have access to 2G. It's not because the cost per data is necessarily higher, but because you are using it up faster because of the services you are running on it. Some of the services that you are running on it is data intensive. So you will notice that if you purchase a particular bundle from your service provider, your data may run out faster because of the services that you are enjoying from it. So you would also notice a bit of this when 5G is fully implemented.
Well, that might well be so, but in the long run, it's still going to tell on the pocket, for instance. And another aspect is, well,
we are not phasing out. That's why we say we are not phasing out 4G. We are not phasing out 3G, and even 2G in some remote areas will still be there. So subscribers will definitely have choice and options.
Okay, so go for 3G or 2G and spend less, but take forever to get that data to work for you. Well, the other extraneous factors that he talked about are not about to disappear overnight, and some of them have to do with the way administration, government is run. And with this, I'm not talking about at just the national level, states and local governments, especially in terms of taxes. He talked about the right of way. Now, these issues have been on the table for quite some time.
Yes, it's a very critical issue, and it's affecting telecommunication industry in Nigeria. Critical infrastructure and also multiple taxation. You see, state governments and local governments are sometimes taxing this multinational telecommunication company, so, and also the federal government. So we have ensured that the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy engage the state government and let them know the implication that if care is not taken, some of this telecommunication industry will have problem and move out of your state, because if they are paying multiple taxes, it tells. And also security-wise, do you imagine some telecommunication industry having to engage private guard to guard some mass and some structure? Because some youth might just decided and said they need development fee. If you don't pay them, they will destroy the telecommunication gadget. It's a problem we are facing. So we Nigerians, and particularly our state governors and local governments, should understand that we need to set this clearly. Who can pay, who they should pay for, is absorbed these taxes. Imagine when they've already paid the national government, the federal government, they get to the state because they have to deploy this gadget in the state government will still tax them. Now the local government will say, come on, this is our local government. They should tax them again. Multiple taxation. And now we are talking about 5G. I think the youth should know time is money. The time that will take you to download file, program, or even movie on a 4G compared to 5G, 10 times. So time lower. So if it's taking you like 2 hours to download a file, a program, or a movie, the 5G will take you only 10 times lower than that. And if you can save 10 times lower of the previous time you spend on 4G, time is money. Even though it costs higher, but time is still money.
All right, we have a number of reports dealing with the subject of the day, and we'll start off with this one from our Lagos Network Center.
5G, which is the fifth generation technology network, is the advanced form of 2G, 3G and 4G, which Nigeria currently operates. Large numbers of advanced countries of the world have adopted the 5G network, while others are considering its adoption in the next few years. The technology provides the platform for new and emerging technologies such as the Internet of Things, IoT, artificial intelligence, AI, and big data to improve the way people live and work.
The 5G network will also come with increased capacity, and it has increased bandwidth compared to the 4G network.
From 15 to about 20 megahertz gig per second, and with very low latency. That means that short duration to be able to connect with what you want.
The new network comes with great potential that will boost the entire spectrum of Nigeria's socio-economic ecosystem. Its adoption in Nigeria will no doubt bring about transformation in the country in the areas of smart city, smart transportation, and efficiency in medicine.
You look at almost every form of economic sector that we have in the country, and then internet has a role to play in all of this. So it tends to speed up more activities. You move away from the manual way of doing things, and you deploy the digital means of achieving faster results.
You can do a lot more across with technology, moving data across, talking to people in terms of Zoom calls or in any sort of communication in there. Better infrastructure enables this. And I think if they recognize this and they embrace it, it would unlock a lot of revenue and development for the country as a whole.
It will further migrate government operations from manual to digital to conform with the benchmark of operations in the 21st century. While experts have enumerated the many benefits of the adoption of 5G network to the government and its citizenry, they however want government to improve on infrastructures for seamless operations of the 5G network in Nigeria.
All right, from one commercial center to another. In Lagos, we've seen how is it like in Kano.
The evolution in information and communication technology moves with advancement in the world and human life. It started at first generation 1G, which was able to transfer only voice, and the next generation, which is about to take off in Nigeria, is about the whole lot of new life. Internet of Things, which facilitates the realization of smart cities and homes, will be the new order.
You can design a smart city in which all the devices in city are talking to each other. For example, you can have an application of smart parking. When you come to city, you want to park your vehicle, you don't have to start scouting around. Your vehicle will be speaking to sensors that are mounted in the parking lots. Okay? Or you are talking about vehicles talking to each other, in which you can have a car, a driverless cars.
Well realized, experts believe it will create more jobs, market openings, and economic viability.
IoT, artificial intelligence, they're all application of 5G. Fear of losing job, no. I mean, it's easing the job, you understand? When you bring in robots, does not mean that your job is going to be taken away. That's generating another job, and many other things will come in. And
the expert allayed the fear that 5G is not as harmful as the conspiracy theorists created understanding to the minds of people. However, the challenge is its affordability and commitment on the side of policymakers towards making the cities and homes 5G compliant. In addition, because of the speed and space, it may be easier for cyber criminals to unleash their motives on the innocent online users.
5G will bring the issue of high-speed wireless network. So in that case, it will give some room for the people that wanted to penetrate the network or people that wanted to do some criminality activities to have access faster than that of their remaining generation network.
All right, I'd like to go back to the question of security. It's known that right now countries, technologically advanced countries, are trading, blames over huge attacks on infrastructure. Now, this is a question I'd like to put to Dr. Mbanaso. Is there capacity in this field? And I mean local capacity in its deployment, its maintenance. Is that kind of capacity available in this country? If you face a huge attack that brings down a whole government institution or a public institution that virtually controls the lives of Nigerians.
Thank you very much for that question. As we are aware, 5G is a new technology. Cyberspace is emerging. Cybersecurity is also a phenomenon that every country is grappling. And so every country is making continuous effort to be able to match the pace of activities that is happening in the cyberspace by building a pipeline of workforce that can actually contain these activities, malicious activities that happen. In terms of capacity, I think in Nigeria we are doing our best to be able to produce a workforce. A lot of universities are also already offering cybersecurity at degree level, master's level, and PhD. For instance, in the Center for Cyberspace Studies, Nasarawa State University, we have master's program and also PhD in cybersecurity, and also at a postgraduate diploma level. In a very probably next session, we're going to start a BSc in cybersecurity and data science and technology, which is also a very important aspect of what we are talking about. Now, when we are talking about capacity, and we also have the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy has set up a hub for artificial intelligence and robotics. That is a very welcome development. But of concern, as a matter of concern, just like Taiwo has mentioned about the benefit of using artificial intelligence, we should also be able to know that every of this technology we introduce has its vulnerability landscape. So when people talk about artificial intelligence and also talk about robotics, there are also tools criminals can use. And because with 5G, it means things can happen at a speed of thought. And so you can see that criminals who have the capacity will employ artificial intelligence in committing crime. And so we need to be able to just not looking at only the benefits, but looking at how we can thwart the enormous security challenges we are going to face going forward. Cyber crimes will increase, and you know that we have a very talented Nigerians who are probably in this area that is not coordinated, And so we are going to see increased cybercrime, even also with sophistication of using artificial intelligence. As we speak today, people can buy tools with as much as $1 from the dark web, and they can use it to commit crime that can fetch them about $1 million US. And so there is a lot that is happening in this arena. And to a certain extent, the cyberspace is redefining the world order in several ways. And so we have to begin to look at how to increase our capacity, how to build a real pipeline of workforce in various capacities and expertise to be able to match the crisis we're going to face in the very near future. After 5G, we're going to have 6G. We're going to have 7G, even 8G. We don't know where it's going to...
Okay, thank you so much for that. Well, at this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, the phone lines will be open. That means you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. We'll also explore other aspects of it. For instance, how this can affect elections. Honorable, you're right here, and of course we've seen this at play in other parts of the world where people have tried to influence the outcome of elections. Well, so we'll be examining all that. When we return from this short break, stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us on this segment. The lines will be open soon. You can get to be part of the discussion. Remember, we said at the start of the program that if you do get through, turn down the volume of your TV set to avoid the echo. And please go straight to the point, ask a question or make a comment, and don't let's dwell too much on greetings. So, this aspect of it, we said would look at other matters here. One of them, how all this can be deployed to alter the people's will. I'm sure Honorable would be much interested in that.
Definitely.
And of course, I am still worried about the financial world, because if anything, I mean, if what we're seeing today is to go by, if we are to go by what we're seeing today, especially with the deployment of relatively easy to handle matters like POS transactions, a lot of vulnerable Nigerians have been swindled out of their hard-earned money. And sometimes those who do this, the criminals go away and we can't even trace them. Now we're going to have people who are highly skilled. And how do we protect Nigerians who are vulnerable from things like this?
Yeah, I have to support what you've said. I am a victim of this swindling via POS. When you send your PA out to go and do transfer for you on the ATM, you decided to go and use the POS and afterward you receive a lot of some purchases on your account. Up till now, I sent the complaint to the bank. In the last 2 months, they have not been able to come to me and tell me what happened to my money. They cannot trace it. POS. Now we're talking about 5G or communication, electronic, whatever, as affect election. Is that what you're asking? You see, Nigerians should take this from us. The House of Representatives, the law stated clearly that INEC is saddled with the responsibility to conduct election, transmission of results at their discretion. Look at that. That is the law. At their discretion. Fine. We are lawmakers. But the law cannot remain stagnant. Life evolves. That's why you see review law. That's why you say, okay, amendment to a law, because life itself is not stagnant. The question remains, if Germany has reverted back from electronic voting back to manual, Switzerland have reverted back from electronic to manual, even in America, even in United States of America, I'm telling you, they will still count their vote one by one, 1, 2, 3, because even if you act this, you cannot act this, because there's an allegation about Russia hacking America, and that is still there. The question now remains, are we sophisticated enough to prevent what America cannot prevent, what Germany cannot prevent, what Switzerland cannot prevent? So when you see some legislator like us asking some germane question about the capacity of INEC, and we ask the question, can this be asked? The NCC told us that they have no sophistication to prevent hacking.
Okay, we'll come back to that matter, but let's get our very first call. Miracle calling in from Edu. Miracle, go ahead.
Good evening, sir, Mr. Stewart. Hello, good evening. Yeah, I want to appreciate every one of you in the studio tonight. I strongly believe with the unity of the telecommunication companies and the stakeholders, the 5G can come to reality, and it will be benefit to the people in the grassroots across the whole areas of local government.
All right. Okay. Well, Miracle was just warming up to. Well, we'll just try and call us back if you still have other things to talk about, and the lines are open. Okay. So, Honorable, this obviously will lead to some other heated debates.
Yes, definitely, definitely. But we Nigerians has the right to want to move to higher level. Nigerians also have the right to ask some question. Is this higher level in terms of, look at the banking network now. So now you can sit down in your house and say somebody has a transaction from your account. You ask the question, how and why? That is germane. On behalf of Nigerians, we're trying to ask the stakeholder, the people involved, how can we solve this thing? We still have to ask them the security implication of the 5G deployment. Have you put in place mechanism to checkmate, to cope, to bring about to the barest minimum cybercrime? It's very, very important. Up till now, so I was watching on the television when somebody told me that some banks, I don't want to mention names here, that this bank is even easy to hack. Imagine the implication of the bank. Imagine the implication of the bank. When a criminal be interviewed after being apprehended, saying, to hack this bank is even the easiest. To hack this bank is tougher, but they can hack it, but this bank is even the easiest. You see? But definitely, as a lawmaker, we are trying to make some legislation that will put in place mechanism to save this country and Nigerians, its citizens.
All right. Do we have another call on the line? No. Okay, so let's just quickly go over to Ikechukwu Namani and say, well, you just heard some of the concerns been raised here. Now, apart from just deploying this technology, what is on offer from the telecommunication companies dealing with protection data?
Thanks. Let me put it this way, and I'm very happy the conversation on 5G is truly bringing out the issue of cybersecurity. and how people need to be cyber aware. So let me say this, and this is important we understand that 5G is a mobile access network. Now, what does that mean? It means at the barest end of it is the subscriber. What the subscriber is able to do with their devices and maybe Internet of Things and all that. At the core of the network, the operator still secures their network. So at the core of the network, there is no difference in the cybersecurity risk between a 5G network, a 3G network, or a 4G network from a mobile standpoint. It's still the same risk you do. So if the service providers are able to secure their network with 3G, 4G services, they can also secure the network even with 5G. The bigger challenge comes from the subscriber side, because as we're saying, a subscriber today that is vulnerable within a 3G or a 4G network would still be vulnerable if it's a 5G network. The reality is that most times, subscribers and people in general need to be well educated about the proper, what we call cyber habits, okay? You see an email that looks so good to be true. For some reason, you want to believe it and you click on it. You see somebody have sent you money that you know you've not earned and should not be coming to you. You want to believe miracle has happened, you go for it and you become a victim. So those are cyber habits that once people are educated about what to do when you are online, it secures you. It's got very, very little to do with the access technology, whether it's 3G, 4G, or 5G. If you are vulnerable within a 3G network, you would also be vulnerable within a 5G network. So that education, that enlightenment has to be put out there in terms of the right attitude and how people should conduct themselves when they are online or have access to ICT services. It's very, very important, and I'm happy this is bringing up a lot of education or information on that. But the proper education, whether we have 5G or not, we still need to educate our people on the right cyber habits, because people are vulnerable today. Talk like the bank you mentioned and a few of the other institutions. 5G is just going to open up more access to devices. But as at today, if you as a financial institution, you've not secured your network, it doesn't matter whether 5G is there or not, you're still going to be vulnerable. So what I'm saying is that while 5G potentially would expose more people, expose more devices to ICT services, the same risk that is currently existing within the networks we have today is still there. 5G is not going to radically just, for some reason, because it's 5G, this risk will suddenly appear. No. If people cannot learn today how to be safe online, it doesn't matter whether it is 3G, 4G, or 5G, the same situation is going to come up. So it's very, very important that we understand it. And as the Prof had said and others have said, there is need for a lot of education on two aspects of it. One, user education, let people know what to do and not to do when they are online. If suddenly somebody calls you from nowhere and say, hey, I'm calling from your bank, we're just doing some network upgrade, we need so and so information from you, you need to, by default, as a user of ICT service, know that your bank would naturally not call you for such a reason, and you know that this is fraud. Somebody sends you a text message, and the next thing you receive a call, they say, oh, we made a mistake, and we sent the wrong text message to your phone. Can you read out the number for me? And then you read out that number, unknown to you, that they are trying to authenticate your password. Because your network has already secured you by giving you the fact that nobody can just go without them testing you. So if you know some of this and suddenly a message on something comes to your phone, the next minute somebody is calling you to ask for the code that you just received, you should shut down that call, because you know this is a cyber criminal trying to have access to your devices as well as your account. So there are some very simple cyber habits that Nigerians need to be trained about, needs to be aware. NCC and a lot of the organizations are putting out information to educate people. More of this needs to happen. But as long as we have not imbibed that culture of the safest cyber habits, we're still going to keep falling victims to cyber criminals. It doesn't mean they are smarter. It doesn't mean the emerging technology is making them smarter. No, it just means that we, from the user standpoint, we're not doing what we need to do. Then from the corporate standpoint, there are a lot of organizations that don't have firewalls, a lot of organizations that don't even have the minimum infrastructure they need to have to secure their network. It is not right. Those have to be fixed. And it's good we understand that the challenge that would come from cybersecurity that we're expressing today is already here with us. You know, and we don't have 5G yet, but we are already expressing this challenge. God is that suddenly people are becoming more cyber aware. Secondly, we are beginning to train a workforce that will secure the country from a strategic standpoint. And ultimately, I'm looking at a day where we have enough workforce that we can actually start providing outsourced security services to other countries that are not as well advanced as us over time. So a lot of the initiative we put in place is very important.
Okay, we'll certainly come back to you because, yes, you've explained all of this. But again, Nigerians will be looking to these companies to at least take a further step in protecting them because it is quite clear that sometimes, even from the operators themselves, there could be openings. But let's go back to the phones now, and we have another caller calling in. Right. Okay. We lost that call here. At this point, let's talk to Taiwo Akirili once again.
Thank you very much. In response to the vulnerability and the risk associated with deploying new technology and innovation in a growing economy, there's no doubt that in deploying technology and innovation in an economy, there are risks associated with such ventures. But it's just like a plane. Plane crashes and people die, but people don't stop flying. The aviation industry has grown over the years from the 1900s to the 50s to the 70s, and up to now, the aviation industry is still growing. And, they improve on how on the security and on the safety of planes in the skies. The same thing is also associated with deployment of technology and, of course, innovation and artificial intelligence. We cannot say because people are going to hack our phones, people are going to manipulate the system, and therefore we should not embrace what is good. What is good is good. What we need to do is to ensure that policies are put in place. To ensure that we also have to ensure that the policies that are put in place are geared towards protecting privacy. Then there has to be stakeholder engagement. There has to be enlightenment of the citizens on the dangers associated with disclosing your private information, your passwords, and how you manage yourself in public spaces and all of that. The kind of community, the kind of this kind of what's it called? The kind of friends you maintain, the kind of your neighborhood. How do you secure yourself? So all of these come together and in an aggregated manner to support the security of technologies that have been deployed. Number two, the legal framework has to be such that it is subject to amendment. The penalty has to be high enough to to discourage people from engaging themselves in crime that's associated with technology. Then you talked about election management. How do we deploy 5G and all the associated innovation in technology towards election management? I want to, while agreeing with the honorable member, I also want to disagree with him. We cannot go back to where we are coming from. We have to improve on our electoral system. We have to improve on investing in technology, in transmission of results, in ensuring that people are trained, INEC officials are trained on how to use new technology to ensure that, when people are voting, immediately results are being called. We cannot go back to the 80s and 90s on how results, people snatching ballot boxes and all of that. And that is why I am very happy that the National Assembly has even come up with electronic transmission of results. So we now need to look at How do we marry this 5G technology? How do we marry artificial intelligence towards supporting our electoral system to ensure that our elections are much more transparent? The way we transit in this country is much more modern. Yes, some countries are going back to manual tabulation of results and all of that, but it's as a result of issues. So we also have to learn from what are the issues in those countries, particularly in the US. Recently, about 8 months ago, when it took almost 2 weeks for the presidential election to be called as a result of failure of technology and all of that. We have to learn from the failure, the weaknesses associated with such incidences.
Okay, right. So that's a very good point here. That let's get back to the phones and Samuel from Enugu. Hello, Samuel. Samuel from Enugu. Is Samuel still on the line? All right. Probably call back. Okay. That call is lost. Well, the phone lines are still open. But we do have a couple of reports, more reports that will come in here at this point in time. And this one is from Enugu Network Center.
A technological advancement in mobile cellular networks has been evolved from first generation to the fourth generation. However, the current global wireless standard is phasing out to usher in the next generation. As a result, the evolution of 5G has been raising dust with many unverified claims of danger in the social media windows, such as causing of coronavirus, damaging the DNA in the body cells, and leading to cancer, amongst other speculations. Although some of these speculations have been the existing possible effects of every radioactive rays when the user is exposed to it without proper precautionary measures, while issues of the causing COVID-19 is out of it. The 5G network is a new kind of global network that is designed to connect virtually everyone and everything, including machines, objects, and devices. The greatest advantages of 5G is that it is the combination of speed, responsiveness, and reach, which could unlock the full capabilities of other trends in technology, offering a boost to self-driving cars, drones, virtual reality, and internet skills, where a surgery can be conducted without the surgeon being physically present.
Businesses and organizations will work more efficiently deploying and using the 5G capability. And I think that is one attractive thing that will make businesses embrace this as soon as possible. And then, of course, it can increase network capacity up to 40 times what 4G can do now. So connectivity and connections with linkages and so on, you have a much better capacity with the 5G than 4G.
What is the 5G all about? Is internet being faster?
Meanwhile, experts say 5G network, like other cellular networks, use a system of cell sites that divide territory into sectors and send encoded data through radio spectrum.
All right. I guess the calls are still coming in, but just before we take another, let's go over to Sadiq Nasser. Okay. So, has a call coming through? No, not yet. We'll get those calls. But before we go off to Sadiq, let's take a look at this other report from Jos.
The fifth generation network 5G, recently approved by the Federal Executive Council for increased connectivity, is an upgrade of the 4G, which allows greater optimization of network traffic and smooth handling of usage spike. The combination of increased speed and network capacity is expected to create the potentials for larger amount of data to be transmitted.
The whole idea of the generation or the 5G is to increase speed of transmission of data and information across the network or across the internet.
We'll deliver up to maybe 1,000 more capacity than that of the 4G, creating a very good fertile ground for Internet of Things, whereby you have facilities connecting themselves to each other. And also this also will promote virtual and remote connectivity. And this will play a major role in areas like the health sector, whereby you can even have a virtual operation.
5G will allow some of the applications like driverless cars. Speed is what we're expecting now. It's the fastest and robust network we have ever seen in the future of humanity.
Experts say the 5G network technology is 100 times faster, supports new application and saves time. Sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing and logistics will also benefit from lower latency of 5G, while sporting and news events can minimize the impact of load spikes and increased coverage. Telecommunication experts are calling on consumers to key into the 5th generation of cellular network technology in view of its enormous benefits.
All right, we have Kabiru calling in from Lagos. Hello, Kabiru.
Hello. Hello, thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Sura.
Right, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I want to make the little contributions. The introduction of 5G technology in the Nigerian telecommunications sector, it cannot be overemphasized. However, 5G technologies, the motives behind the generations increasing in future is for migration from the platform that we are used to a platform that is more robust and reliable. Advanced world, all they have been using in Europe, for example, is the normal 4G that we are using in Nigeria. And they're achieving a lot. So for 5G in Nigeria, simply what I may see there is technologies there are the infrastructure, the core infrastructure is not Nigerian dependent. We will see serious improvement, like gaming, online dating, and other related activities online, that the main infrastructure is not Nigeria resident. But for the major benefit of the 5G, which we're supposed to benefit from, it will take us a very long time. Like the same way 3G and 4G has been elapsed or about to be transferred to the 5G in the developed world, that we are still lagging behind. The most critical benefit and the most important benefit of the 5th generation is Internet of Things, whereby you have autonomous technologies, self-driving vehicles. You communicate with your house, you communicate with your city. Your city will tell you, this morning you have a parking slot at the Koi or in Lagos, wherever you are. You communicate with Internet of Things around you, which presently in Nigeria will lack that infrastructure on ground. So the technology will only benefit a very few sector that is controlled by the only minimum 20% that generate the 80% of GDP, while the remaining 80% that generate the less 20% of GDP will be left behind. By the time already China is talking of 6G, we will see a situation whereby the world will transit to 6-7G while we are still stuck in 5G. So the reality is this. If the government of this country really want to have Nigeria technologically move forward, we need to look at the infrastructure on ground. Medical will benefit from 5G because the main technology infrastructure is not dependent in our country, whereby experts from anywhere in the world, they can contribute and do online real-time surgery and procedures with our doctors in country. But the many other businesses that we're supposed to benefit are not from the 5G technology. It will take us a very long time. it will take us a very long time. So we need to work our telecommunication infrastructure in country. As we speak, many businesses host their even website domain outside Nigeria for reliability, flexibility, accessibility, and integrity. Whereby still the country is having challenges hosting a simple domain for businesses. Then we are introducing 5G. So a lot needs to be done. It's not a jinx. It's not just we're saying that we are moving with trends. Yes, we must move with the global world. That is the global trend. That's the world where everywhere the world is able to. But the reality is this: we must to invest heavily in infrastructure, whereby at the end of the day we should be able to be whole responsible and manage our economy digitally using these technologies. Very soon, in the next few years, I don't see 7G anything less than 10 years to come. Global world leaders, they are moving fast. China is already developing 6G. Even the 5G is about coming up in Europe. Even in America, they are trying to launch 5G. So I think there's a lot to be done.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kabiru from Lagos. And straight away, we just go to Sadiq Nasir and say, how do you respond to the views of Kabiru, who just called in from Lagos?
He actually started a good conversation, and there are a lot of challenges that we have in this country. 5G would not simply eradicate all our problems when it comes, rather it should just be an enabler. By being an enabler means that it creates a platform, it creates an opportunity for us to be able to build on. So without us harnessing the advantages, harnessing the opportunities, we could lose the track. But I believe with the trajectory that we're going right now, if we keep up the pace, keep doing all the things we need to do in terms of, for example, capacity building, doing a lot of training, trying to build a lot of local content to solve these problems around our economy, we will get it right eventually. Of course, it takes deliberate effort for us to get there. Consistency is key, because this regime has started on a good note on this 5G and other related policies, for example, around digital economy and broadband policies. We need to ensure that whoever comes into office after 2023 is able to continue with that trajectory, so that we can take advantage of this digital economy to enhance our life and try to find some of these teething problems, such as unemployment, such as security challenges. And of course, we always look up to the Western world and China for some of our economic challenges and some of the deficiency that we're not able to solve. But the truth largely remains that nobody else can solve our problems. Only we can solve it, we Nigerians. But of course, it also makes sense to collaborate with other countries in terms of resources, in terms of try to build up skill gaps. So we cannot continuously depend on other countries, but at some point we just have to focus on that local content. Every stakeholder that operates within the digital economy, that's the government, the industries, the startups, that's little businesses that operate, everybody needs to come on board in order to maximize these opportunities to take us from where we are right now and where we need to be, which is through leapfrogging eventually. Thank you.
All right. Back to the phones now. Okechukwu calling in from Enugu. Hello, Okechukwu.
Hello. Hello, I'm with you, sir.
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello?
Go right ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Okechukwu, go on, you're on.
Yeah, my contribution towards the program tonight is that most of the network is something that is very important. It's a very important issue in Nigeria. I think if we can improve a network link to some areas of our facilities in Nigeria, especially in the electoral process, I think it is very, very important. Just like what the INEC have helped to. So I'm very much happy to hear that that INEC have stepped into the electoral system, but have changed to a network link. So I'm just calling to commend the INEC.
All right. Thank you very much, Ogechukwu. Thank you. Well, we're about winding down, so we'd like to just look at a few more issues and take the closing comments of our guests. And let me bring this to Dr. Mbanaso. The infrastructure that will enhance Nigeria reaping the maximum benefits from 5G is said not to be fully deployed here. I'm also interested in how 5G will impact research in institutions like yours and others. Research is one area where there's much to be done.
Thank you for that valid question. By the way, internet is as a result of research, and everything that is happening in the cyberspace today is still research driven. And so you remember I mentioned how much do we have local content in the 5G. And research and development is one part of that local content I mentioned earlier. Now, if you found out that most of our references is either from ITU or from other advanced countries, and so how much is our research input into 5G, for instance? So we need to increase our capacity in research and development. That will also increase our local content in this regard. Now, I also mentioned the issue that we moved from 2G, 3G, 4G, and now we are in 5G. And as we are moving, other countries are trying to reduce their dependency on foreign technologies. And so in a few years to come, 6G will be in place. And we also remain a consumer nation. And so we need to begin to look inward. How research and development will help us a lot in reducing our dependency. And now, when you look at it further from the cybersecurity perspective, there are several layers of vulnerability. And one of the areas of ways to curtail or contain that vulnerability is increasing your local content. And so if you can increase your local content, you can actually reduce the vulnerability opportunities that can be exploited by other countries. For instance, we all know that China is in the forefront of espionage and the forefront of actually ghosting people's country's data to their own country. And so with this 5G, we see without research input, we won't be able to know what is actually taking place in terms of security. So there is a very high need that research and development is very, very key in the success of 5G. Because of various layers of vulnerability that exist, we need to increase our capacity. So I'm thinking that going forward, the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy should extend the process of 5G by designating some centers of excellence in certain universities or institutions of higher learning to focus on research on 5G, because there's a lot to research on 5G. People have mentioned about artificial intelligence, robotics, electronic cars, et cetera, et cetera. All this introduces vulnerabilities into the system. And so we don't need to be relying on on data from research data from foreign countries. We should be able to generate our local data that can be able to tell us actually what is the activities that are happening within our own cyberspace as far as 5G is concerned. So there should be a deliberate, harmonized and coordinated effort in research and development that is industrial driven and well defined, well thought out through. Not the present situation where we have a kind of ad hoc research. Every institution is just trying to research. The government should be able to define our priorities in terms of research and development, and in conjunction with the industry, the big telecom industries. Like I said the other time, you see that most of these big telecom countries can sponsor big what is it called, the big Niger, and they don't invest in research and development in the universities. So we should be able to revive the trend, because research and development is very key, very key to the growth of 5G and the next generations of wireless communication.
Let's go over to Lagos now, and the president of the Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria. If you ask most people, they would want to extract a promise from you to say, yes, there have been factors beyond your control responsible for the rather poor services, but they would also want you to state that you wouldn't use this as an excuse for further poor services when they expect more from you. And this is a really serious point with many people who would say, look, yes, we know there are issues here, but sometimes we wouldn't want them to use these issues as the excuse for not performing up to standard.
The truth of the matter is every single service provider wants subscribers to get the best quality of service. The reason for this is twofold. If your network service quality is good, you gain more subscribers. Two, your actual revenue as a network service provider depends on the usage of your network resource. You've already done the investment. So if subscribers are not able to use it, you are losing money. It is never in the best interest of any service provider not to offer efficient and good quality service. And it's good people understand that. So when you see a situation where, for whatever reason, the service quality is not where it needs to be rest assured that the network operator involved is also not happy, and they are doing everything possible as much as they can to improve on that. So that is something I want Nigerians to be rest assured on, that indeed we are in this together. Also, don't forget that the network service providers have subscribers also working for them. Everybody working there. When we say the network, we are talking of you and I that are also subscribers and users of this same service. So it's in our collective interest that the quality is good. And the same reason why we reach out to the external factors that are also involved in some of the challenges we are facing, that they are also users of the network. They are also participants in the bigger ecosystem. So we should see this as a win-win for everybody when the quality of service is right, and is something we need to be aware of. So what I'm saying is, in effect, yes, from the service provider standpoint, it's in our best interest to ensure that service is always available at the right quality. This serves two purposes. One is good for subscribers. There will be more uptake on the services. But more importantly, if your network service is not good, you are actually losing money. That is the fact of the matter. And no service provider wants to lose money. So it's a collective effort that we should all work together to ensure that there's better improvement in the quality of service.
Right, thank you very much. And, well, Honorable, we're back to you now as we round off. What can Nigerians expect from the National Assembly as we move on to 5G? And here I'm talking about the protection of citizen Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want Nigerians to believe that the National Assembly will always protect their interests. We always protect their interests. We are going to amend the law at any time we deem fit that there should be improvement, enhancement, not only in the security of lives and property, and also in the economic advancement of the country and Nigerians as a citizen. So Nigerians should believe that the National Assembly is up to the task. They can amend the law anytime.
Yes, you can do that at any time.
Anytime we can do an amendment for any law that we believe is outdated or obsolete.
A while ago, you talked about the deployment of technology in the electoral process.
Yes, we as it stands, the law, we have given the INEC the power to conduct and transmit the election. If they say they are ready, so be it. As a player, we have right to raise some question. The law remains INEC to conduct election and transmit election in whatever medium they believe.
All right. Okay, so final word. Let's turn to Tawa Kirili and let's hear you as we wind down.
My final word is this. We need to relate what is 5G bringing to the Nigerian economy. Yes, it's going to help us in terms of communication. It's going to help with people communicating more effectively and more deriving value and impacting on the business sector. However, what value is it bringing to the economy in terms of agricultural space? What value is it bringing to the economy in the area of infrastructure? What value is it bringing to the economy in the area of SME, that is small and medium enterprises, which millions of Nigerians are involved in? What value is it bringing to the table of the Nigerian economy in the area of securing our land, particularly against banditries, against kidnappers? These are the areas I am looking at when we are celebrating the introduction and the deployment of 5G technology in Nigeria. Nigerians should be able to see value, even in the reduction of goods and services, the production of goods and services, our export processing. 5G must bring value to the table. Thank you very much.
So the discussion will continue, not just on this platform, but on other platforms as well. And I'm sure many Nigerians will take the debate right down to the grassroots as we look at the issues, public policy issues, and other matters arising from Nigeria's movement to the 5G network. On this program, I'd like to appreciate all our guests. Let me start off by thanking Ikechukwu Namani, President, Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, who joined us via Zoom from Lagos. It's been interesting talking to you. We thank you for coming on this program.
Appreciate.
And Sadiq Nasser, the ICT expert, also joined us via Zoom from Ola.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Okay. Technology did work tonight on this program, and we heard our guests from Lagos and Ola quite clearly, except for a few dropped calls. Mr. Namani has promised that it will be better as we go ahead. So let me say thank you very much to Taiwo Akirili, Country Rep, Policy House International. Thank you for coming on this program.
Pleasure.
For Associate Professor of Cybersecurity and Executive Director, Center for Cyberspace Studies, Nasarawa State University, KEFI, Uche Manaso, thank you so much for your thoughts on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having me.
Right. And Honorable Hakim Madeni Adeyemi, Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Telecommunications. We thank you for being with us tonight.
It's a pleasure being here tonight.
We hope you come again.
Definitely.
All right, then. And so that's our program tonight. We thank you for being part of it. And the discussion will continue. And next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. Until then, I'm Cyril Stober. And as I say, continue to stay safe.